Can one person from every community put up your hand so that we can see if we have quorum? Thanks, guys. Okay, thanks, guys. So we are now have our annual scavenger hunt draw. So the first draw is for any observer who has completed the hunt. So we'll start there. And the winner is Stephanie Ewell.
Steph.
The next draw is for members only. Kathy Tetso.
Tell she's been.
And the last draw will be for the $3,000 community prize.
Actually, this one we do 2 for the delegates for the iPads.
We do 2. Okay, so we do 2 for the delegates, and it's Lisa Nitziza from Wati. And the last one is for the $3,000 for the community prize. Not a lot in here. Okay, found one. Or they ever little. Fort Providence.
Yay! Single draw.
And last but not least, the information trade show draw. So your bingo card. Fort Providence, Danny Bolio.
Keep that.
Okay, keep that one out.
Yeah.
This draw is Indigenous Circumpolar Health Research. So we're gonna one more draw.
There's 3 to draw.
Oh, 3.
3 prizes.
Wow. Oops, I got 2. Mike Bitten.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just
there he
go
is.
you can go to their booth. Just where Andriana is, just right over there.
Oh
She's
my
waving.
Yeah. Green. So, Garen.
Garen Zoe is the next one.
Yeah, just you're a winner. Go to their booth.
To the back on the right there.
I need
Yeah.
one more.
Thank you.
Ain't that- Oh, Dr. Cami Condola. is the third one.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Congratulations. Okay, so moving on, we are moving into the resolution section, I believe. So I'm going to pass it to the Chair of the Resolutions Committee, Mr. Mike Kaiser.
Say 30-some years in a row, just to correct everyone, it's Mike Keiser.
Oh, sorry.
Usually in Fort Smith, I'm Mike Kaiser, but I'm a Keiser. So anyways, during the meeting of the Resolutions Committee, February 2nd, 2026, we as a committee reviewed and made recommendations to the 2025-2026 past year resolutions. As you can see from the agenda, we have 30 minutes. The information was sent to you on February 19th, 2026. And the bottom line of that is we hope you've all read it because there's a lot of words, very micro font. Prior year resolutions can be found in tab 6 of your conference books. So I will just give you an overview of this next session, which is the past year recommendations. Or prior year resolutions is called. The recommended policies were sent to member communities on February 19th, 2026. We hope the delegates have read the reports. We will proceed with the 2025-2026 recommended policies of the NWTAC. In the past years, we have approved the policies in blocks. If there are policies that require further discussions, we can remove them from the block and deal with these policies later during the session. As you will note, there are a number of policies to go through. Policies are divided into 4 categories. And I'll just run through them quickly. Reaffirmed resolutions refers to a resolution whose objective has not yet been achieved, which should be actively pursued by the NWTAC Board of Directors. There are standing ones, which refers to resolutions that reflect a standing policy of the NWTAC. The objective may have been achieved once, but may have to be restated because of changes in government ministers or department personnel. It also refers to a resolution not requiring active pursuit for one reason or another. The third category, and one we'd like to try and use a bit because you'll see there's a lot, the deleted category. These resolutions have been deleted from the NWTAC policy manual. And last but not least, the expired. As per resolution 2020-15 lifespan of a resolution, every NWTAC resolution has a lifespan of 4 years. It can be brought back for action at another time. At this time, I will ask the delegates if there are any policies within these 4 categories that require further discussion. We have Mr. Councillor Couvret from Fort Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Under
Oh, that's as far as we got. No.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Under the standing resolutions, resolution ST 26-25-03, NTPC governance model.
So Yvonne, we were going to remove that for later discussion? Okay, good. It's removed. We will discuss that later. Okay, so moving into the next part of this is the actual going through the blocks. We will require a mover and a seconder to approve the 2025-2026 reaffirmed policies of the NWTAC as per the attached summary list. Please state members' names and communities for the minutes. So I need a mover and a seconder. Okay,
It's Councilor Cochran, City of Yellowknife, seconding.
thank you. That's recorded, okay.
Yep.
Are there any questions? From that, okay. All in favor? Motion is carried. It's nice when I'm working a block. We will require a mover and a seconder to approve the 2025-2026 standing policies of the NWTAC as per the attached summary list. Again, please state members' names and communities for the minutes. So I need a motion and a seconder. Councillor Couvret from Fort Smith. Okay.
Who, sorry?
Susie. remove the audio.
Okay, yeah. if
Thank you,
can
Ben.
Say the name.
She did. She was just very, very soft spoken.
Okay.
Are there any questions with regard to this group, this block? Going once? I feel like the auctioneer all of a sudden. All in favor, I can say? Everybody's good? Thank you very much. So now we'll move on to NWTAC prior year resolutions. Again, we will require a mover and a seconder to approve the 2025-2026 delete policies of the NWTAC as per the attached summary list. Again, please state your name and community for the minutes. Do I have a motion? Thanks, Barb. Need a seconder? Oh, we have one? Okay, thank you. We're good? Are there any questions on this block? None heard. Okay, we'll move forward to all in favor. And motion carried.
Now you bring this one.
Now,
We go back to Ms. Councilor Chris. Okay, if there are any policies requiring further discussion, we will now address them. So Councilor Couvret, I assume you want him to speak to it as the next step. Okay. Get near a working mic, please, Mike. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. As part of the ST 262503, on behalf of the town of Fort Smith, we are suggesting an amendment to the resolution as it stands. And we are asking to amend the resolution to include an additional, be it therefore further resolved that the Auditor General's of Canada's office conduct an audit of the NTPC.
Mike, I need a mover for that, please.
Councilor Cochran, City of Yellowknife will move.
And seconded by Mayor Ferguson, Fort Smith. Any questions with regard to that amendment? Sorry, amendments, what I'm looking for.
Always with a good, just, can you give your rationale, Mike, just so everybody knows the rationale?
Okay, thank you for the question. Basically, the rationale is the town of Fort Smith brought the resolution forward last year asking for a independent review of the Power Corp's governance model, both operationally and managerial. And to be quite honest, in discussions with representatives from the NT Power Corporation and from the minister's office, there is no intention to, or at least this was last fall, there was no intention for them to conduct such an audit or review. And it's felt that when you look at many of their capital projects and the most recent rate increases and things like this, things might not be all well with the Power Corporation. And one of the most effective bodies for doing audits and identifying inefficiencies and in many cases good practices is the Auditor General's office. So we feel that though we can't ask, if we put it out there, maybe the Auditor General will see it in their power to actually undertake an audit of the Power Corporation, so the residents of the NWT will ultimately benefit from recommendations coming forth from that office.
Thank you very much, Mike, for that. Any further questions? Okay, can I, all in favor of the amendment to this particular resolution? Looks like it passes. We've can't. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mike, for your presentation. I think we now move on to the new resolutions this year, and I'm going to ask you right up front to bear with me because this is an interesting process with a bit of jumping around, and this is my first time. So I'm a newbie at it. Okay, resolution section found in tab 7 of your binder. So go to tab 7, please. Hopefully you've all read it by now anyways, it's all old news. During the February 9th, 2026 Resolution Committee conference call, the committee reviewed and made recommendations to the 2026 resolutions. This information was sent to your communities on February 19th, 2026. Hopefully you've all had a chance to review and read and review the recommendations. The procedures for this session. The resolution session has 2 voting processes, and trust me, I had to work this out. To vote on the category, and 2, to vote on the concurrence or non-concurrence of the resolution. First, voting on categorization. The categories are as follows. There's category A, territorial-wide municipal issues. This category will contain resolutions on issues that are of direct or indirect concern to all of the territorial communities. Category B, issues which pertain to the regional concerns only or are not within municipal jurisdiction. This category will contain resolutions which are of a regional concern only or not within municipal jurisdiction. No action is taken on category B resolutions. Category C, matters dealt with by the NWTAC in the previous 3 years. This category will contain resolutions relating to specific matters which have already been considered by the NWT Association of Communities within the previous 3 years. These resolutions will be received for information only. So that's what we're going to be dealing with on the categories. Each resolution will require a mover and a seconder for the recommended category. We will have a discussion on the category only, and then we will call for questions on the category only. Then the second vote will be on concurrence or non-concurrence. Each category A resolution will require a mover and a seconder for the recommended concurrence or non-concurrence of the resolution. There will be a discussion on the resolution and a call for questions. And at that point, we will ask the sponsoring community if they would like to speak to the resolution that they submitted. So that is hopefully what I can shepherd us through for the next few minutes here. You're going to get to hear my melodious voice for a little while because I have to read these to you. Okay. So first motion put forward is 2026-01, medical escort policy and medical travel priority seating. I'll be reading the now and it be further resolved sections. You can read the whereases on your own. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the government of the Northwest Territories, GNWT, be requested to conduct a review of the medical escort and medical travel booking policies affecting remote and isolated communities. And be it further resolved that the review include A, flexibility in medical escort eligibility beyond age-based criteria. B, improved priority seating for medical travel passengers and approved escorts. C, earlier and proactive bookings of medical travel where possible. And D, consistent application of policies across all remote communities. And E, consideration of a dedicated medical travel liaison position to support patients with exceptional needs, address personal and cultural considerations, and provide follow-up throughout the medical travel process. So starting first, I'll need a mover and a seconder for the category inclusion under category A. Barb from Enterprise. Please say your name and your community as well. Thank you. So then it's, now I'm gonna remember the steps here. Any questions? Remember the steps here. Any questions on this resolution? For concurrence?
For categories.
Or for categories, right? Yeah, thank you. We're all comfortable with category A? No questions heard. All in favor with the category A designation? Thank you very much. So now we move into concurrence. And I'm so nervous here. I gotta just go back and look quick. That's right, movers. Sorry, I'm just nervous about this. Can I have a mover and a seconder for the concurrence of, or non-concurrence of this motion?
Councillor Cochran, Yellowknife.
Thank you. Seconder. You gotta say it, Mike.
Fort Smith.
There you go. Thank you. Are there any questions on the resolution as put forward? The way this is ordered, that's the next thing. I'm following the notes. So are there any questions on the resolution as put forward? None heard. Then I will ask the hamlet of, and I'm Yellowknife, I think I said that right? Close. If they would like to make a presentation, if you could keep it focused and precise, about 2 minutes we give you. Can you give us a presentation on this resolution? That's Pat. Okay.
Yeah, it's Pat Klingenberg, Mayor of Yellowknife. As you can see, we have two resolutions here, this being the first one. You've already had a chance to read the paperwork here. All I would like to add to this is that in the remote communities, we've been advocating to our government for a long time, our territorial government, the federal government, and also our indigenous government for improvements to the medical travel services that we receive in the northern communities. And despite that, and despite all those years of advocating, we haven't actually seen any real improvements in the service of that, in the delivery of that service. So we feel that it's best brought here so that with a unified voice speaking to the government, that we do actually see some improvements. I know that throughout the territory, some communities may have better access, but throughout the territory, it's a huge territory, and it's very important that services be improved to our community members, especially to elders and those that are vulnerable. Thank you very much for your support on this motion.
Thank you so much, Pat. So now we're at the stage of all in favor, all in favor. Mike looks like he has a question. Can I ask, Councilor, you said, oh, Mr. Couvret not voted. Did I miss a step or?
Yeah, I just had a comment with regards to the wording of the
okay?
resolution.
Okay, proceed.
Under the now therefore portion, the last line reads affecting remote and isolated communities. And I think even in Fort Smith, we experience, every community is experiencing issues with medical travel. So I'd like to have the resolution recognize all communities and a specific focus on remote and isolated communities. I think they definitely need it, but also all the other communities should be looked at in the same review. Thank you.
Pat, are you okay with that modification?
Absolutely. That only supports what we're asking for. Thank you.
Thank you both. So now call for the vote. Motion, we already got the motion. Okay, so motion carries. Thank you. Pays to have experience sitting at your right side. Okay, if we can move on to the next one. Access to social work and youth mental wellness services. I'll move down to the now it be therefore resolved that the government of the Northwest Territories, GNWT, be requested to review service delivery models for social work and youth mental wellness services in the remote and isolated communities. And be it further resolved that the review consider A, minimum service coverage standards for social work and youth mental wellness. B, improve continuity of services during staff absences or vacancies. C, enhanced community-based mobile or hybrid service delivery models. And D, long-term strategies to improve recruitment and retention in remote communities. And finally, E, that the government of the Northwest Territories ensure adequate and sustained funding for community-based healing and wellness programs supported by long-term financial commitments. So at this point, I need to ask for a mover and a seconder for the category.
Mayor Hart Enterprise, but I would also request that it be changed to include all communities, the same as the previous.
I think we'll get that later. Yeah, Pat now. Okay. Pat's concurrence. Thank you very much, Pat.
Like I said before, that only strengthens the support. It probably, if it should be in category A, then it should most likely be to all communities, not just remote communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Do I have a seconder? Here we go. Can you say your name and community, please?
Elena from Fort Providence.
Thank you very much. So now we call for questions or discussion. My notes are so messy.
Yeah, you're right.
Discussion on the category only. Unheard. I'm going to assume we're all comfortable with category A. So all in favor. And motion carried. So the second vote is on concurrence or non-concurrence. I'll need a mover and a seconder recommending the concurrence and non-concurrence. Name and community, please.
Councillor Cochran, City of Yellowknife moves.
Thank you. And seconder. Name and community, please.
Tricia Landry from Fort Providence.
Thank you very much. Any questions on the resolution as read and proposed? Yep. None heard, so I'll ask the community if they would like to speak to the resolution they have proposed. Well, okay.
Yes, very shortly. I'll just add to this. You all have had a chance to read this. The only thing that I would like to add is that you know, with healing and community wellness and our Indigenous reconciliation programming that we have, we really like in our smaller communities, and most likely in larger communities, we really like the on the land programming and programming that's made available, but those are often short term. You know, some wellness programming or addictions programming, quite often community members may have to travel south to regional centers to receive addictions assistance. From that, for us to be able to serve our community members and battle, you know, addictions and to support reconciliation and promoting our culture. Our community in Ulukhakta would really like to see more a direction towards more funding for long-term community-based healing camps and wellness programs. And we think that that could help our people a lot more than what is made available. You know, what's made available now, you know, they do a good job, but we'd really like to see a direction towards more community-based healing programming. Thank you.
Final stage is all in favor.
Just call it. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Moving on to the next one. 2026-03, return to regional hosting of Arctic Winter Games trials. And I'll go down to the bottom. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Northwest Territories Association of Communities, NWTAC, formally requests that MACA considers its decision and reinstate future regional hosting of the Arctic Winter Games trials. And be it further resolved that the NWTAC urges MECA to adopt an equitable hosting model for future Arctic Winter Games trials that ensures fair access for athletes across all regions of the Northwest Territories. And be it further resolved that this resolution be forwarded to MECA, Sport North, and relevant MLAs for their support and consideration. So first, we need to get a mover and a seconder for the category. This is proposed category A. Do I have a mover and a seconder?
Deputy Mayor Dowie from Haver will move.
Thank you. Thank you. Any discussion on the category only for this? It seems to be accepted. Oh, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Vince Teddy, Tuktoyaktuk. In that second, be it further resolved, there's the word urges. My only thought on that is that strong enough? I leave that open to the floor for discussion. Thank you.
Okay, I think we'll probably address that when we look at the next part, because this is just the category, but thank you for that suggestion. No discussion. I'll say all in favor of the category A. Thank you very much. And now we'll move on to concurrence and non-concurrence. I'll need a mover and a seconder for the concurrence or non-concurrence of this resolution. Name and community, please, if you throw yourself out there.
Melinda Gillis, Nivik.
Thanks, Melinda. Seconder.
Mayor Hart Enterprise.
Thank you very much. Any discussion on the resolution? Oh, we'll note your proposed change on the wording. Do we have one? You pointed.
No.
Oh,
He's chomping at the bit over there to talk.
go ahead, Linda.
I'm excited about this one because I think that it'll help for, there to be a stronger representation from our territory versus just from our capital. I think that's what we're lacking in our small communities. One of the things that we've been talking about at some of these tables is the fact that we're teaching our kids that they're not good enough in these small communities, whether that's because we don't have the proper facilities or the coaching, or we don't have as long ice time. But, it's not about building national, athletes. It's about building the connections that we build at these tables at a young age, and so when they get to these tables, they're connected to people within our territory. So I'm not looking to build the elitist, most best players in our region. I'm looking to build the best players of each region coming together and being on one team, unified, so that, and this has been going on for decades. I could look around this room. It's probably happened in your generation. It's happened in my generation. And it's not nothing against Yellowknife. It really isn't. It just, I need to advocate for my youth in my community. I brought 14 down for tryouts. Not one of them made it. And so I spent, a couple of days, talking to these kids about they are good enough. They're just, I think we should look at it. I'm hoping it starts here. If we bring them to the regions, then maybe they're, on their ice, on their area, however it may be, or whether it be in their courts or whatever it ends up being. I just hope that's the start of creating a team from the territories. Because again, it builds those connections. And then, if you have that many, 3 from this region, 4 from this region, 5 from this region, 6 from this region, and they come and they represent us at the Arctic Winter Games, they've just made those strong connections. And then when they're running our communities, they're connected. There's residential school. It has a real, not a pleasant history. But one thing it did do is it connected our people. I know my mother has so many friends from all over the territory because of it. And it's probably the only good that came of it. And now we don't have that because our kids stay in their own regions. But this is supposed to bring our kids together regionally, territorially. And then, we're not building NHL players. We have Tutu. That's great, but they're not all going to be NHL players, but they're going to be runners, our leaders in our community. And we need them to all shine, at different levels. And these are the starts of those levels. So I really like this. I can go on about it because it could tear me up, but I really want to see these teams be a good blend of our communities, because we all know that 1 or 2 star athletes in our community that belongs on that team, and they're not there. And then we got to teach them the disappointing fact that you're good enough. You're good enough. And I think that's what I want to push with this one, and I hope we push it all the way, and I'm going to keep advocating for it.
I think your passion is duly noted.
Yeah.
We used to work together and she's passionate about everything she works on. Well done. And so any further discussion on this? Anybody want to follow that? Ben, go ahead.
I just want to say, I know you said Yellowknife not to take any offense, and I don't. I'm happy to support this motion, and for all the reasons you just said. Yeah, we, as long as things don't change, know that whenever your kids come to Yellowknife, this is their second home while they're here, and we'll do everything to make them welcome. But I'm also happy to support it for all the reasons you said. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Of course, I'll just echo what the mayor says, and he put it very eloquently, so I can't really add to that. I will commend the deputy mayor and the town of Hay River for bringing this forward. This is a great resolution that I am sure will pass with no opposition. The only thing for the wording, I'm not sure if we necessarily need to remove urges, but would we put at the recommendation for the conference strongly urges MACA?
Is that acceptable to Hay River who wrote this, changing the word to strongly urges?
That would be acceptable to Hay River, yes.
Okay, so if there's no other discussion item, does anybody else have anything they want to say on this? Yes, I'll defer to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. To me, this is a good motion. It puts Arctic back into the Winter Games, not only a southern community. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
We knew this one would get people fired up. That's good. I'd like to ask if there's no other comments, or I'll ask the sponsoring community, which in this case is the town of Hay River, if they'd like to speak to this. Oh, I have one more I missed. Sorry. Rosick.
Let's see. I just want to add in, when they talk about Arctic Winter Games, it's becoming some sort of no interest in from our communities. I don't know why, but before I left, they asked me where I was going, so I said to the meeting here. And they gave me ideas like if they talk about any sports relating to Indigenous. One of the mothers said, we need our games, like the Tinchon have their own games that they can use during the Arctic Winter Games if they're involved. And it's not always called Dene Games because we have a different name, but it would be nice to continue encouraging the games that our people used to play, and it needs to be passed on. And here over the weeks, I've been hearing many of our elders and parents talking about we need to teach our own children our way of life, our language, our spirituality. But at times I just kind of watch to see if any one of our people will say anything. I've been on council for many years, but I haven't been sitting around the table like this. So I'm just kind of confused with a lot of things. But this is the only chance that we had yesterday when the minister came, and most of our people were already gone. So I thought they could have questioned her for a lot of our needs in our community. So for the youth that are willing to participate in any sports, especially Arctic Winter Games, just so that they get connected to other youth, it would be a healthy way of knowing how they can compete with other culture as well too. Masi.
Masi Joe. And it just as a good segue for me to remind everybody that don't forget later today, we have the Bear Pit with ministers here. So please keep those questions you didn't get out yesterday. We'll hear them later today. And now back to Hay River. Would you like to speak to this motion? Who's speaking on behalf of the community? Who?
Keith.
Keith?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I guess we could speak briefly on it. It's pretty, I think our points are well indicated in the recommendation, and I appreciate the comments from other members. The really for us, it's about the equitable opportunity for the kids in the north. I think obviously there's other reasons there for this. And again, reiterate that the motion is certainly not intended or ever was intended to be any type of slight to Yellowknife. But, our community and other communities in the territory have invested millions of dollars in our facilities, and we have proven capacity to be able to host these trials. We've had proven capacity to be able to host the games themselves. So to centralize them into Yellowknife, I think it does a disservice to all of the communities that have improved and invested in their facilities and want to build that capacity in their communities with volunteers and officials and coaches and all the rest of it that comes along with potentially having those games hosted in the communities. We want to host people from outside of our communities the same way everybody does, and we want the equitable opportunity for the youth in the regions to be able to, it is a bit of a disproportionate burden on members in the communities that have to travel to Yellowknife for this now, and understand obviously that this comes at a financial cost. I get that hosting in the regions, it's more of a dollars and cents decision to centralize everything to Yellowknife, but it costs money to get everybody to Yellowknife as well. So I don't think we need to ramble on. I appreciate everyone else's comments, and I think the intent of the motion is well received. So, thank you.
So I'll throw it out to floor. All in favor of the motion as read? Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to the next motion on the floor, which is 2026-04. Conduct a review and improve the current 911 dispatch system. I'll move down to the bottom of the page. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Northwest Territories Association of Communities, NWTAC, formally requests that the GNWT undertake a review and meaningful improvements to the territory-wide 911 service to ensure accuracy, reliability, and modernized communication capabilities. And be it further resolved that the NWTAC engage with the GNWT to review dispatch performance limitations and completes identified changes to improve current service levels. And be it finally resolved that this resolution be forwarded to the appropriate GNWT departments and agencies for consideration and action. Again, as for past ones, I'll need a motion and a seconder for the category of this. So can I have a motion and a seconder? Or mover, sorry, and a seconder? Yeah, no, I gotcha.
Councillor Cochran, Yellowknife moves.
Thank you. Say your name and commute. Thank you. Any discussion around the category for this particular motion? Go ahead. No questions. Can I have, it's all in favor now, wasn't it? Yeah. All in favor for this motion as presented? Okay, so the next part of this is voting on concurrence or non-concurrence. Again, I will need a mover and a seconder for the motion, or the, I'm tired, for the resolution as presented.
Mayor Hart Enterprise.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Dowie will second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the resolution as presented? What was that?
I was just saying kudos to Hay River on this one. Thank you.
That was for the record.
Yeah, exactly.
No questions. Can I ask the sponsoring community if they would like to speak to this resolution?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I think probably well understood. We feel that there's definitely room for improvement in the dispatch service provided by 911 or provided through 911. As a community, we actively are using our own dispatch right now because of flaws and problems with the 911 system as it currently exists. So I think, again, well explained through the motion. So probably don't need to belabor the point, but we definitely see that there's room for improvement there.
Thank you so much.
Maybe just one final note that this 911 system has been in existence for 6 years and there has never been a review of it. And many of us are using two systems, as Councillor Dowie alluded to. So it's time for checks and balances in place, I think. So yeah, thank you.
So if that's the, so I'll call guests all in favor of the motion as presented, the resolution as presented. Motion carried. Thank you very much. So we're moving through them here. Next one up is 2026-05, Enhanced Wildland Urban Interface, acronym WUI. 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 You put the emphasis. Okay, so now therefore be it resolved that the government of the Northwest Territories lead and fund the development of a comprehensive wildfire urban interface, WUI, program that coordinates and delivers services and supports to communities, including qualified WUI teams and specialized equipment that can be deployed to assist communities as needed, standardized inclusive WUI training, cross-training and certification to enable interested, capable community fire departments to work effectively with WUI teams. It's a hard acronym to say. Clear and response coordination between MACA and ECC that enables the seamless co-management of operations. So again, as with previous, do we have a mover and a seconder for the category only on this resolution?
Mayor Hart Enterprise.
Thank you very much. A seconder, do we have someone? Thank you very much. Any discussion on category only for this resolution? None heard. So basically it's all in favor. Yeah, there's too many notes here. And it's carried. Yeah, motion carries. Thank you very much. So now we'll move on to second voting of the concurrence or non-concurrence of the resolution as presented. Again, I will need a mover and a seconder. Please state your name and community for the record. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Cochran, Yellowknife moves.
Thank you very much, sir.
Deputy Mayor Dowie will second.
Thank you very much. So do we have any discussion on this resolution as presented? Wow. That would be at least one question. Okay,
Okay,
I'll pass to Candace.
maybe just a quick one here. I did attend, I had the honor of attending the workshop that we did earlier that came from the NWTAC. This was really important work, that understanding. I remember listening to Chief Daniels telling me that he stood there one afternoon as the forestry guys were picking up and his community was still under fire and he just felt helpless. And so a big piece of that is why we got this together, why NWTAC brought everybody together. Firefighters, there was training done as well. So it was a great couple of days. I think the biggest thing is understanding that we don't fight fires, we manage fires. I've learned that the hard way. And that wildland urban interface, so that is where the forest meets your community, and that not all of us have fire departments. So in order to protect our communities, we need structural protection. And that's what this is about. This is about Hay River going and helping Providence when they were under fire. Our fire chief and equipment was sent over there. So making it more formal, that it's funded. And yeah, so I think, does that cover everything? I believe I have. So yeah, thank you. And Kathy?
This was really critical for the community of Jean Marie and Fort Simpson when we had a fire coming from both ends. And the team from Alberta had left and it had come up again. So the team, fire department from Fort Simpson brought in their pump truck. And I guess we're the only community that has such a beast. And people from Hay River, the fire department from Hay River came in to support that. And it really helped suppress further growth of that fire. So this was brought to the village of Fort Simpson by our fire chief to say this was a critical piece that supported that fire. So yeah, it's really important.
Just checking to make sure I don't miss something there. So I'll move to all in favor of the motion. Oh, whoa, we still more? Sorry, missed you.
Not really a question. It's I'm one of the firefighters in my community as well. I wonder if it's possible that you guys or the Yellowknife area get the fire truck same as the airport for, you know, big fires that happen around the area. Would it be possible to get one of those to go to the other surrounding communities to help out?
So whenever there's a wildfire or any fires in the region, if it's outside of the boundaries of the city of Yellowknife, the NWT would ask the city of Yellowknife in those instances for support. I am not aware of an instance where we've ever declined if we've been asked in those situations, but it's not an automatic where we proactively insert ourselves in somebody else's management of their situation, but I'm not aware of any instance where we would ever decline if we were asked.
Sorry, I meant to say a fire department that can help all the other communities.
I think that's what this is trying to
Yeah,
get
that's
us
the
in
idea.
place with. So your support, okay, good. We're clear. So at this stage, any other comments, discussion, questions? We're good, okay. Go ahead.
Not so much a question, but I guess more just maybe a question. Would this mean our local fire departments would be able to assist? Because there are times when fires have sparked up after the wild forest firefighters are done for the season. And I know that has created some uncertainty and unease in our community when we were watching the fire spark back up and there's no one around to fight it. So is this to help with those kinds of things if they're accessible by road? Outside of like the regular wildfire fighting season, if need be? Just for clarification, Masi.
Yeah, that's not the intention of this one in particular, but that is not to say we've seen some fantastic support from communities to communities. And I think that it's keeping those lines of discussion open and always being there for each other. I can't imagine a situation that wouldn't happen, but I have heard commentary around extending the fire season. So that they're not shutting down as early or not starting, they're starting up earlier and not shutting down as early as they have been. So hopefully we see some movement on that and we'll continue to pursue that.
Before I jump too fast again, any other comments, discussion, questions? We're good? Okay, I feel, so all in favor? And it would be motion carried. Thank you. Okay, 2026-06, we're almost there. I think there's only 9. Implementation of climate change adaptation measures. And I'll jump down to now therefore be it resolved that in order to move forward on planning and feasibility work done to date on climate change mitigation and adaptation, the Government of Canada provide adequate funding to territorial, Indigenous, and community governments to enable these governments to effectively implement mitigation and adaptation strategies that address the impacts of climate change. Yeah, can I have a mover and a seconder for this resolution, please?
Category.
For categories, yes, be clear, thank you. Do we have a seconder? Yep, here we go. Can you name and community, sir? Put you on the record.
I, Gilbert Thrasher, Senior, Politics.
Thank you, sir. Any discussion about the category for this particular resolution? Yes, sir.
Thanks, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since it's my understanding that climate change is going to be with us for a few more years, maybe decades, in that therefore be it resolved. It goes on to say Canada provide adequate funding. Can we add in ongoing funding? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Your comment will be noted, sir. Yes, I think that's not a, do I need to, I guess if directors, you guys are here, so they're all nodding yes, so we're good. Thumbs up on that suggestion. So at this point, I need to ask all in favor, I guess. And so it is a category A, and we'll move on now to the second voting of concurrence or non-concurrence. I need a mover, again, a mover and a seconder, so.
Tammy Neal, Jean Marie.
Thank you very much. And a seconder? Ben from Yellowknife? There you go. Thank you. Any discussion on the resolution as presented? What?
Category.
Yeah, it's been done.
Oh,
You're
you're on concurrence.
supposed to be keeping me in
I
line.
know. It is long.
We're working out the teamwork stuff here. So yes, any discussion points on this as written, the resolution? It seems no. Oh, yes, here we go. Thank you, sir.
It's more a comment than anything else, and I guess an observation that's made at our visit to Ottawa. One of the things I found, and it's not the first time, I guess, at the Ottawa level, is a lot of the things that are happening in the north are totally unknown by the guys out there. I actually had to, during our visits to as many ministers as we can, had to tell the same story of what we're doing and how we're being impacted by climate change along the Arctic coast, to 3 different. And they all appeared the same, to have little or no knowledge of what's actually happening on the ground in our community. So something to enhance the communication now, the information too, and learning of what you're dealing with at the Ottawa level and what they perceive to be dealing with versus what we are actually dealing with. So some learning exchange of sorts. Thank you.
For all of you higher ed communities, he did represent you well in Ottawa.
Yeah.
I think all of us who were there would acknowledge that. I need to ask the sponsoring community, but in this case, it's the board. Oh, we don't?
We've got Robert.
Oh, Robert, sorry, I missed you. Robert?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Just a kudos to Sara and the team. I want to say I got back into NWTAC about 8 years ago and it's like, what are we doing with climate change? Why is NWTAC so keen on getting funding from this? Like, we've lost focus, but now it's front and center. It's affecting all of us. So kudos to the team for looking ahead. So thank you.
So are we good now? Can I ask you guys, did you want to speak to this?
Yeah, if I may, and thank you for your indulgence. We're lucky, we're very involved in the climate change file. And actually the NWT outsubscribes all of the other regions in the north for climate change preparedness in the north, those sorts of things. But they are only funded at a level appropriate for design, background studies, feasibility studies. We need 10 times that amount to be starting to talk about capital. And they are not providing that yet. So that's what's driving this. We want to make sure that now that studies are done, now that design is done, we can move ahead, and we do not have that funding in place. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So with that presentation, all in favor of the motion as presented, the resolution is presented? And motion carried, or resolution carried. It's all the way around, yep. Thank you, everyone. 2026-07, Riverbank Shoreline Erosion. Slide down to now, therefore, be it resolved that the GNWT establish a coordinating mechanism, such as a working group with representation from appropriate departments, to collaborate with impacted communities on riverbank shoreline erosion, to ensure coordination of information, emerging issues, monitoring, and mitigation measures. And further that the coordinating mechanism also be mandated to support research and information, including longitudinal tracking of data related to riverbank shoreline in the Northwest Territories, and further that the coordinating mechanism establish a single point of contact for communities to be able to engage effectively with the GNWT. So at this point, I need to see if I can have a mover and a seconder for the category, please.
Donna from Saks.
Donna from Saks, and Ben from Yellowknife is our seconder. Thank you very much, both of you. Discussion on this for category only. Any concerns with its placement? Keep always missing a hand, always make sure. It's like watching an auction. Thank you very much for that. No comments there. So moving along then to all in favor of the resolution as proposed.
Category.
Category, sorry, category. My bad. I'm getting tired. This is playing with both sides of my brain. Okay, thank you very much. Motion carried. Resolution carried. Category carried. Second, voting on concurrence or non-concurrence as presented. Again, I'll need a mover and a seconder. Please state your name and community when you do, so we can put it on the record. Mike Couvret from Fort Smith moved, and
Councillor Cochran from Yellowknife will second.
Thank you, sir. Any discussion on this resolution as presented? Councillor Couvret, Fort Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is more just a comment, and I don't want it to lead to a resolution from the floor. It's just a comment. The last 2 or 3 resolutions that we've dealt with are related to climate change, and we keep going back to saying we need to get funding from the government of Canada to help us mitigate this. It would be really interesting, I think, for the NWT as a jurisdiction to go after some of the international corporate entities that are actually responsible for the effects of climate change. The Enrons, or not the Enrons, Imperial Oil, Shell, the major contributors to carbon offsets into the atmosphere and things like that. So I think we need to broaden who we're going to go after funding for, and start looking at a user pay system for if you want to put produce products that are going to impact the environment to the extent that fossil fuels do, that you need to be paying for that, and more than just carbon offset or carbon taxes. You need to come to the plate with real funding.
Thank you, Mike. Noted. Any other comments, discussion points? I've done this a couple of times and hands have shut up. I'm good. Okay. Can I ask the sponsoring, well, this case is the NWTAC. So Sarah, would you speak to this?
Thank you very much. This is one that we've struggled over the years, just even getting somebody to host a table at a climate change conference. There is no one person at the GNWT that's responsible for this. And poor Mickey has had to end up hosting those tables. And we've said, we're no more qualified to do this than you are, but you guys, we've got to find a way forward that we know who to send communities to. We know who to have a working relationship with. Right now, we're getting bits and pieces. You deserve better than that. And that's what this resolution is about.
Thank you very much, Sarah. No more discussion points. I'm not going to miss a hand again. Okay. All in favor as presented, then the motion carries. Our resolution carries. Thank you. Okay. We're down to the last couple here, folks. Thank you for bearing with me and my stumbling through this. 2026-08, tools and support for managing solid waste facility fires. Now therefore be it resolved that, I feel like I should have a bell when I read that. The government of Northwest Territories develop in consultation with municipalities and other relevant stakeholders comprehensive guidelines for the planning, management, and emergency response to fires at solid waste facilities. And further that such guidelines should address at a minimum land use planning and siting considerations, facility design and operational best practices, fire prevention, detection and suppression measures, emergency response planning and interagency coordination, training, data collection and incident reporting, and post-incident remediation and recovery. That was a lot. Okay, so can I have, I need a, come on, I'm tired here. I need a resolution, I need a mover and a seconder for the category only.
Councillor Cochran from Yellowknife moves.
Thank you, sir. Seconder?
I'll second.
Thank you, Candace. Any discussion on category for this particular resolution? It would appear no. So all in favor of the category? Category carried. Thank you. So we'll move into the second part, the voting for concurrence or non-concurrence. Again, I will need a mover and a seconder. Can I have a mover for this resolution? Ben from Yellowknife, thank you. And a seconder?
Mayor Hurt Enterprise.
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion on this resolution as presented? Go ahead, sir.
I see that the mayor was gonna also talk on it, but like, yeah. I just want to thank the board for bringing this forward as a community that recently dealt with subsurface fires over at our solid waste facility. I think this is incredibly timely and needed. The more support that we have around guidelines from the territorial government to be able to address these ongoing situations, I think is very much needed. And I'm just incredibly glad to see the board is on it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments, questions, discussions? Any other communities that want to have a say on this? No? Okay. I have sponsoring is NWTC Board of Directors. Sarah, I'll look at you again. Are you going to speak to this? You're good on this one? Okay. Moving right along. So at this point, I guess I say all in favor of the resolution as presented. Resolution carried. Thank you very much, everyone. They're getting easier as we go here. And last, and certainly not least, on our list this year, 2026-09, Learning and Development for Local Government Staff. And I'll go down to the now, therefore be it resolved that the GNWT should develop, fund, and support post-SCG, a comprehensive applied learning skills-based training and development framework specifically tailored to the needs of local government staff. Ensure training options are accessible and appropriate, including a balanced mix of online, hybrid, and in-person learning opportunities. Engage local governments representatives in the design and ongoing evaluation of training programs to ensure relevance, practicality, and responsiveness. And, bolded, provide sustainable funding and coordination to support continuous learning, workforce development, and long-term capacity building within the local government sector. So that's our last one on the floor today. So I need a question, okay?
No.
Oh, you want to, you're moving? Well, you're jumping ahead of me now, good. We have a mover. Your name and community, please.
Elena Kruko for Providence.
Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder? There we go. Thank you, sir. Your name and community for the record?
Councillor Garen Zoe from the community of Gumati.
Thank you very much. Any discussion on category for this particular resolution? Everybody's getting tired. Oh, we have a question here. Okay. Discussion? Yes, ma'am.
I heard that. I just wanted to maybe add, like cultural awareness for our onboarding staff that are joining our teams. And also, as I mentioned the other morning at the women's breakfast about professional etiquette, it seems like we've become very comfortable with our texting and that it's showing up in our emails. So just wanting to ask my colleagues if that's something that should be added to the motion as part of the development of our staff. I see.
Hey, those are both probably going to be things we'll add in the concurrent side of this because they're more not on so much the category, but is there any other people want to speak?
I'll speak during the concurrence. Yeah.
Okay, but no, thank you. Those are good suggestions. They'll be noted. So any other discussion items around the category? Thanks, Ben. Around the category for this? Otherwise, we'll move on to all in favor. All in favor, looks good. Thank you very much. Category confirmed. And so now we'll move into the concurrence, non-concurrence discussion. I will need a mover and a seconder to start that. Melinda, was that a move? Oh, no, okay. Don't be nervous.
Hey River.
Dana and Hay River?
Portsmouth.
And Portsmouth.
You said Hay River.
Mike.
We like her, but we're not taking her. You gotta keep her.
I heard Hay River over here, so sorry.
Come on.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Trisha Landry for Providence.
Thanks, Trish. I'm gonna have a cold one tonight. Anyways. What was that? The chair's giving me a hard time here. So any discussion on this resolution as presented? Sarah, you were going to speak to it, I think, yes.
Yes, thank you. I think we've all been seeing the deterioration of the School of Community Government. In fact, it's almost disappeared. Deeply concerned about that. We were always so proud of the school and the training that they did and that it was very northern based. It was not just going down south as the only solution. And so deeply concerned about that, and we would like to see that reinstated. I hear the points that were made about cultural. That's not the level of detail I think we want to get in here, but when it's time to work on this issue, absolutely.
Any other discussion, questions, concerns on this one? Looking around the room.
Thank you.
Dana from Fort Smith.
Thank you, Mike. I just wanted to say thank you, NWTAC, for bringing this up. As someone who first on council never got any kind of training other than what was minimally just kind of within the group. When my second term came around, we really focused on training and outside training and inside training and everything that could get to us because we were hungry for the information. It makes all the world of difference on how your council runs, interacts, behaves with each other, and it's just priceless of training to have this. And so when the School of Community Government, isn't there for us as a resource anymore, this is good. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. Anybody else want to endorse? No. Thank you for that. I guess you spoke to it, Sarah, already. You're not, you don't need to speak to it again. You're good. Thank you. Okay, so at this point, I'll say all in favor. And motion, resolution carried. Thank you very much. So that ends my time in the hot seat, I think. I think I hand it back to Candace and back at you there, boss.
Thanks, Mike. You did a great job. It really is a lot when it's your first time doing the resolutions because there's so much to it. So I thank him. So moving on, we've got our NWTAC annual report. So our next presentation is our annual report, and please welcome CEO Sara Brown.
Thanks so much, everybody. I am going to do the Reader's Digest version of this since we blew past our timelines for the resolutions, but they're really important. So we're just getting this up, and I will try to remember not to push the buttons too many times. So I thank all of you for the opportunity to be here to present this. This is really important that we get to tell you what we've been doing in the year. And I'm going to push the button and there we go. So last year we had our Mayor and Chief's boot camp, and just like this year, we had a anti-bullying day as well. So we're happy to do the photo with the pink shirts, but this is an important session for the mayors, just to build relationships, to get to know each other. It can be kind of an isolating position to be in, and it's great when you have the opportunity to chat to others about what you're doing. We also had our AGM last year in Yellowknife as well, and as per the agenda here, we don't change it too much. People are getting used to this pattern, but we had interactive sessions. We had stuff at the table here. We had lots of good work happening and lots of great awards. And that was really exciting. So in terms of federal advocacy, we had we did extra advocacy last year because we had a new government. And so our board went down and met with many ministers, parliamentary secretaries, deputy ministers. They're not to be forgotten because they're the ones who are writing the programs, those sorts of things, and approving them before they get released. And if we've been in their ear reminding them how we're different and we can't turn around getting homes up in a year. We need a couple of years with sea lift and all those things. That's a big part, is always, and I think you guys do this too, you're always educating people. I sit on the Canadian Infrastructure Council, and they just came out with the National Infrastructure Assessment. It's very focused around housing because that's the mandate that the federal government is pushing, and housing supportive infrastructure. So it was that's been an interesting committee to sit on, and basically to shut me up. They have stuff about the North in there and how we need something different. Don't jam programs that work in the South on us. We had a great time in Ottawa, and we also consult on a lot of federal programs. We take that position. Come talk to us before you design the programs, and our folks don't apply. Like I get calls all the time. Nobody applied from the North. What's happening? And we're always like, yeah, well, because this is way too complicated. We don't fit in the boxes, all of those things. Very busy with the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. And I hope some of you got to meet and share with the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. It is important that they are there as an advocacy group for us day to day in Ottawa. Again, we spend a lot of time educating them. I had a lovely sit down with FCM staff and the Henny Butte and just little things that are so that we take for granted to understand, that people understand, and they don't. Why can't you just join up with the neighboring municipality? And yeah, it's not so neighboring. And so then we also meet with provincial territorial associations. It's always good to hear what others are working on. We meet both as presidents, but also as executive directors. So it's, we're going to constantly be at that with FCM. They do have an Arctic and Northern report coming out fairly shortly, and we're excited about that. And there will be a lot of discussion around it at the annual conference in Edmonton this year at the beginning of June. Territorially, we met particularly as we were coming into the wildfire and flooding season. The board met with both those ministers, ECC and MACA, to hear what they were doing to get ready. And then we also organized regular meetings for the rest of our members. I meet with the deputy minister all the time. He's very great, very accessible. I sit on the regional waste reduction committee. We did work on ATIP last year, but happy to say it is parked. Yay. We were kind of lobbying for that, and that's what happened. So that's good. I meet regularly with the infrastructure ADM and Territorial Emergency Management Act review. That's with the board and myself and Sheila. And it's been an uphill climb, but we're getting there. So I mentioned the regular meeting with the DMs of MAC and ECC on wildfire and flood prep. And I can't even read what the blue. Okay, yeah, we looking at the act and the plan. And then if we have an issue come up, we'll have a mayor and chiefs meeting. Watch for those and feel free to just zoom in, and we're happy to include you. Now, climate change, particularly in the energy side, we've been very busy with that, but less so because there is very little in the way of funding to direct you to. That's part of the challenge. People like Ray know all about this. We have not spent as much time and energy, no pun intended, on that. But we will continue to work with Arctic Energy Alliance. I sit on their board, and the Department of Infrastructure on that. Adaptation. Oh, don't pick those colors, Sarah. Jeez.
I can't read
It looked pretty on my laptop, but yeah. But as you've seen from the resolutions and you've heard about the workshops, Mickey has been organizing wildfire workshops and riverbank workshops. She's done a great job of that. And we will keep going at that, but we got to be careful. We can't give her, there's lots of things we could focus on. We have to prioritize. But, and then hosting Krista's position as well, and helping with the administration of the Climate Change Preparedness in the North program and I sit on that committee as well. And it's a really good way to focus. So and I did want to mention that we just secured funding for doing asset management and climate change. And we're going to be looking for communities that are interested in being in the first cohort for that. So it's to help you get your asset management systems up and running, and also doing your climate risk assessments, which will help with applying for grant funds. So think about whether you're interested. We'll be putting a call out. Watch for that, and be really excited to have a good mix of people from across the territory and different community sizes. So do watch for that. This screen doesn't work so well. Anyways, we are very, very busy in adaptation. We also worked on the Cool Clean Air program, and that has since been taken over by the Parks and Rec Association. They were doing the legwork on that. Really exciting to try to get shelters set up in all of our smaller, more remote communities to get out of the smoke, to get out of the heat, those sorts of things as a first step. Hopefully you get more and more comprehensive programs, but in the short term, this is a way to get that system done, and that really happened with the support of this, of Cami Candola's office. So really appreciate that. And I mentioned the wildfire preparedness workshop, lots of hardcore work happening, lots of hardcore sharing happening, and people learning from each other. And so that's always good when those resolutions, the group is coming forward with the changes that they need. And then the riverbank erosion, unfortunately, I was really sick during this, and I was really sad to miss this one, but I hear it went really, really well, and that it's continuing to have more coming from that. Now, I just wanted to indicate FCM was the primary sponsor for both those workshops. And as well, they recognize that a partner like ourselves, who lives and breathes and is used to supporting NWT communities, are the best mechanism to deliver these programs. And we also, on the wildfire, we also had sponsorship from the territorial government, which allowed us to increase the number of attendees and add Indigenous governments that were not community governments to the table. And that's really critical with wildfire. So we were really happy to have that. And some others, we don't forget, we have a purchasing program through the rural municipalities of Alberta. It is a fantastic program, particularly some assets like tires. You have any idea what a tire for your grader costs? Blow your mind. Make sure your staff are using our purchasing program. Like 80% savings. They pre-negotiate with tire folks, finning. We'll have a conversation. We'll make sure Brant is in the mix. All of those things. They have pre-negotiated everything. It simplifies your purchasing and your procurement. So make sure you're taking advantage of that. Shirley mentioned 5 hours of legal advice. That's awesome. It is so nice for me when I get a phone call and I give my personal opinion, but I always qualify it with, I think you should maybe check with the lawyer. And here, it's free. So it's really awesome. And we support other research groups, that sort of thing. And if we can bring groups together through our partnership tables, that's a good thing. And we have some funny little tools that we've developed over the years. This one's making the point that when you have damage to your community assets, it means something else doesn't happen. You don't have as robust a hockey program, or you have fewer hours, the ice is open, that sort of thing. So that those are available to you as tools. And this one's my personal favorite. Who do you think's picking up the litter fairy? And it seems like some of the kids do think that. So there's lots of tools like that, lots of posters, things you can put in your rec complex or your town hall. And there are a ton of toolkits. We find it's the most effective way to get information out. If you are trying to write a couple of HR policies, we probably have them already. And if we don't, either you or your SAO, give me a shout. And if I think it would serve everybody, we'll get one developed. You don't have to do it. And then it's been reviewed by the lawyer and all those things. So it's really easy to adopt. So, and there's stuff about election readiness there. There's stuff about climate change and energy and all of those things, and in the insurance forms and sample tendering documents, sample RFPs. Make sure you use them because they're all there. They're developed and reviewed by the lawyers. When I did this one, and it offered some of the logos to use. I don't know why for SAOs and band managers it did a saxophone, but I do want to say thank you to all of our membership. We get fantastic support from all of you. We really appreciate it. We get fantastic encouragement, support from our board, as I mentioned, the saxophone of SAOs and band managers. We keep in touch with them and they always have great suggestions. We have some fantastic staff. I cannot say enough about our staff. We are so fortunate. And we have territorial and federal partners that are really helping us be as effective as we can for all of you. So this goes without saying. This is a remnant from our funding review, and I need to make sure we all of us keep on our territorial MPs, our MLAs, that we all deserve more funding. And so if you ever need any tools, elevator pitches, bigger documents, all those things, give us a shout and we'll be happy to provide those to you. And I think that's it. Any questions? I know your coffee is calling.
Not so much a question, maybe just a couple comments that we are so blessed with this association. And as you can see, 60 years is a phenomenal for any organization, and to get stronger every year. We are stronger together, and there's so much work that's done behind the scenes. I just want to remind everybody that if you're struggling with anything, pick up the phone. We're great networking. I know that Ben doesn't have a problem talking to anybody. I know I certainly don't. And Sara and her team are just phenomenal, really great resource to use. And like I said, there's so much there that we don't know about, but that is there for us to use. So I just want to take the opportunity to thank Sara and the people behind her, because without them, this doesn't exist, and it is an amazing association. So thank you. Back at 3. So yeah, our break's a little shorter, but exciting stuff when we come back. So I'll see you all back here at 3. Thanks, guys. I did the same thing. Okay, if I can ask everybody to make their way to their seats, we'll start shortly. Quick reminder as well that the photo booth will be closed at 4 o'clock today. So if you haven't done your headshots, get in there and get them done.
Ladies and gentlemen, if we could ask you to come back to your seats, we have a group of very important people to speak with next. So we'd like you to take your seats so we can get started.
Welcome back, everybody. So up next, no stranger to any of us, she is our past president and friend, but also a dedicated politician and our strong voice in Ottawa. Please join me in welcoming the Honorable Rebecca Alty, your MP for the Northwest Territories and Federal Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations.
Thank you very much, President. Appreciate the warm welcome. Masicho, everyone. It's a true pleasure to be here with you today and to be able to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the NWT Association of Communities, and I look forward to 60 years and more going forward. This weekend brings together mayors, chiefs, councillors, city and band managers, and community leaders from every part of the Northwest Territories. The strength of the NWT begins in our communities, and that's why the work of this association is so important. I know how much each of you cares about the people you serve and really appreciate all the time, energy, and dedication you do to your communities. I know the calls at midnight about whether it's emergency services, a loose dog, the water or sewer that's been backed up. And so really appreciate your service to your community. I also want to thank the board and staff with the NWT Association of Communities who traveled to Ottawa in October for your advocacy days. It was great to meet with you there, along with federal ministers and officials. You brought forward clear and practical priorities based on real experience. That advocacy matters, it helps shape decisions, and I will continue working closely with you to make sure Northern voices are not only heard, but also acted on in Ottawa. I also want to highlight some commitments from our government's Budget 2025 that directly supports Northern communities. This budget reflects, and we actually just approved it on Wednesday. No, I guess Thursday, we had our last vote. But this budget directly supports many Northern communities. This budget reflects what many of you have been calling for over the years, long-term investments in Northern infrastructure. The Arctic Infrastructure Fund, which is a $1 billion fund, is a significant commitment. For too long, infrastructure in the North has been funded through programs that don't account for climate, short construction seasons, and the high cost of materials. The Arctic Infrastructure Fund recognizes that Northern infrastructure is nation-building infrastructure. But this isn't only about roads, runways, and ports. It's about lowering the cost of living. It's about creating economic opportunities. It's about food security. It's about making sure young families can see a future in their home communities. Alongside this, the Building Communities Strong Fund, which was formerly the gas tax or formerly the Canada Community Building Fund, was also enhanced in Budget 2025. This gives communities more flexible and stable funding for local priorities. You know your communities best. Sometimes you need water treatment upgrades. Sometimes you need a new solid waste facility. And this fund helps ensure we can build stronger communities for the long term. I also want to speak about the NWT's Our Land for the Future project, one of the largest Indigenous-led conservation efforts in the world. It's supported by $300 million in federal funding and $75 million from philanthropic partners. This project will support Indigenous-led stewardship and conservation across boreal and tundra regions while creating hundreds of culturally meaningful jobs across the territory. And it was great to see just this week that they awarded the first batch of projects. This historic initiative strengthens cultural identity, creates employment, and protects natural spaces for future generations. And the Northwest Territory is essential to Canada's future. As global attention turns north, whether for shipping routes, critical minerals, or geopolitical strategy, the Arctic is no longer distant in the minds of decision makers. It's front of mind. Strengthening Arctic sovereignty is not only about defense, though. It's about people. It's about strong communities. It's about infrastructure that connects us. It's about search and rescue capacity. And it's about communication systems that work when we need them most. When we invest in Northern housing, energy independence, airports, and all-season roads, we strengthen Canada's sovereignty. When we help communities prepare for climate change and wildfires, we strengthen national security. and Arctic security must be built in partnership with Indigenous governments and Northern communities. Sovereignty is strongest when the people who live on the land are supported to thrive on the land. Community safety is one of the most urgent concerns I hear across the territory. You see the impacts every day: substance misuse, unstable housing, and mental health crises. At the federal level, legislation such as Bill C-12, the Strengthening Canada's Borders Act, Bill C-14, the Bail and Sentencing Reform Act, and Bill C-16, the Protecting Victims Act, are part of broader efforts to improve community safety and criminal justice. These bills aim to combat organized crime and trafficking networks and give better tools to border services and financial institutions. They also aim to strengthen accountability while addressing deeper issues that contribute to them. And yesterday was actually the graduation for the new batch of Customs Border Security Agency officers. So we are increasing the staffing to stop the flow of drugs into our community. And it was great to see that first cohort graduate yesterday. But legislation alone isn't enough. We need prevention. We need culturally grounded rehabilitation. We need mental health and addiction services. We need stable housing. We need trauma-informed supports that reflect the histories and realities of the North. Community governments often carry the burden when these supports are missing. You deal with the consequences when systems fail, and I'm committed to advocating for federal policies that recognize the unique challenges of small, remote Northern communities, where resources are limited, but the impacts of crime are deeply felt. Safety means elders feel comfortable walking to the store. It means youth feel hopeful about their futures. It means first responders have the tools they need. That's the standard we should aim for. The Northwest Territories may be small in population, but we all know it's mighty. Our contribution to culture, reconciliation, environmental stewardship, and Canada's identity as an Arctic nation is immense. Together, through strong communities, smart investments, and a shared vision for our future, we can ensure the Northwest Territories is not only a place we're proud to call home, but a place where the next generation can build their lives with confidence. So once again, Masicho, thank you for your leadership, and I look forward to continuing to work together.
Thank you so much, MP Alty. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in extending a warm welcome to our senator representing the Northwest Territories, Senator Margaret Dawn Anderson. We are truly delighted to have you with us at our 60th annual general meeting.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Alkana, good afternoon. I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Chief Dragi's territory. From time immemorial, it has been the traditional land of the Yellowknife's Dene First Nation. I would like to welcome the dignitaries, honored guests, mayors, councillors, Indigenous leaders, and participants who have all made an effort to be here at the Northwest Territories Association of Communities AGM. Thank you to the board and the staff for the opportunity to speak and attend this important event. Before I speak a bit about myself and what I do, I want to acknowledge you and your leadership. I think it is important to situate you and communities in the forefront. In the North, municipal leaders are not just officials. You are our relatives, our neighbors, and our friends. You grew up with the people you serve. You went to school together. You share meals, funerals, celebrations, and difficult times. When something happens in the community, you do not learn about it through a report. You feel it personally. You are not making decisions about strangers. Your decisions affect your cousin, your auntie, the elders who guide you, and the children you watched growing up. When there is a housing shortage, you know that family waiting. When the water is not safe, you know who is hauling it. When someone is struggling, you know their name and their story. That is why municipal leadership in our communities carries such responsibility. You cannot step away from it at the end of the day because a community is not separate from your life. It is your family. People trust you not because of a title, but because they know you and you know them. You lead with a level of accountability no policy can create because you will see those same people tomorrow and the next day and for the rest of your life. In our part of the country, leadership is not about authority. It is about relationship, responsibility, and care for one another. Never underestimate your role. For those that do not know me, I am the Senator for the Northwest Territories. I've been in this role for 7 years. I come from the community of Tuktoyaktuk. I am often asked if I always wanted to be a senator. The honest answer is no. My aspirations as a child were not lofty or ambitious. I do this work because of the life I have lived in Tuktoyaktuk and continue to live in the Northwest Territories. Like many of you, I was shaped by the realities our communities face. We know hunger, we know cold, we know distance, we know shortages. We know the times when systems designed far away did not understand life on the land. But we also know something stronger. We know resilience. I was raised with my dadak and nanak, Joe and Susie Nasagalowak, my mother Sara, and by a large extended family of proud people. Proud to be Inuit, proud of their language, proud of the land, our history, and our culture. They did not call themselves leaders, yet they were my first teachers of leadership. They showed me that leadership is not about position, it is about responsibility. It is about showing up, helping your neighbors, feeding people before yourself, listening to elders, and making sure children grow up knowing who they are. That is the role municipal leaders hold in our northern communities. You are often the first person someone calls when the water lines break, when a family needs help, when a young person needs guidance, or when a community faces crisis. You do not lead from a distance, you lead among your people. You are role models, whether you intend to be or not. Young people watch how you speak to one another, how you handle disagreements, and how you care for the most vulnerable. Through you, they learn what leadership looks like. Through you, they learn that public service is not about authority, but about trust. Our communities are strong, not because they are easy places to live, but because people choose every day to care for each other. Municipal leaders hold that together. You protect not only services and infrastructure, but relationships, respect, and the sense of belonging that keeps a community whole. So I thank you. Your work may not always be recognized, and it is often difficult, but it matters deeply. Because when leadership is grounded in service, culture, language, and community, it strengthens not just today, but the future of the Northwest Territories and the generations who will call it home. My role within the Senate is to represent all 33 communities. Currently, I sit as a member of the Senate Conservative Caucus, but not as a member of the National Conservative Party. They are the official opposition within the Senate of Canada. I am a member of the National Security and Defense Committee, the chair for Veterans Affairs, a member of the Indigenous Senators Working Group, and part of an ad hoc Arctic working group with the senators from Nunavut and the Yukon. The Senate of Canada sits regularly on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. However, in addition to Senate sittings and committee meetings, I also meet regularly with lobbyists, conduct research, travel, do keynote addresses at events, do community outreach, as well as events organized by Senate Communications called Cengage, where I engage with schools, colleges, and universities. Within my office, I have an executive assistant, a director of parliamentary affairs, and a research assistant. We have a small but mighty team who will always give 100%. Within the last 6 months, I have been fortunate to have visited Tuktoyaktuk, Inuvik, Ulahuktuk, Norman Wells, Hay River, Delaney, Fort Simpson, Nahanni Butte, and Yellowknife. I make it a practice to stay a minimum of 2 nights in every community I visit. On one trip to Ulahuktuk, my stay was even longer because the flights were full. While my student and I were walking through the community, we met a man or family sitting by the shore near the water. The man asked if we wanted to go with them to their cabin. We had just met. I said yes. Soon we found ourselves in a boat with Adam, his wife, his mother, his children, and grandchildren. We traveled out to their cabin, shared food, and spent time fishing together. We talked, laughed, nothing formal, just people visiting. While we were sitting there, Adam looked at me and he asked, "Do you know why I invited you?" I answered no. He answered, "You were the only politician who stayed in our community. You did not just come for pictures and leave. This was not a photo opportunity." In that moment, he was not speaking to me as a senator. He was speaking to me as a person. What he was really saying was that people know the difference between presence and appearance. Communities know when someone comes to listen and when someone comes only to be seen. That experience reminded me that leadership, especially in the North, is about relationship. It is about taking the time to sit, to listen, to learn, and to understand daily life beyond reports and meetings. You cannot understand a community from an agenda or a briefing note. You understand it by sharing a meal, by being on the land, and by hearing people's stories in their own space. This is the same role municipal leaders carry every day. You live where you lead. You see people in the store, on the road, at the school, and at community gatherings. You cannot separate leadership from community because you are a part of it. Your credibility comes not from title, but trust. That afternoon in Nulahatuk reminded me that public service is not about position. It's about showing up and staying long enough for people to know you care. That is the strength of our northern communities, and that is why your leadership matters. The issues I work on in the Senate, beyond federal legislation and bills, are the very same realities you confront every day in your communities. We deal with housing shortages, the protection of language and culture, food security, health and dental care, safe drinking water, and the growing impacts of climate change. We face constant pressures around funding, the implementation of Indigenous self-government and self-determination, treaty rights, and the commitments under UNDRIP and the protections afforded by Section 35. At the same time, the North is drawing unprecedented international attention with growing geopolitical interest in Arctic security, defense, and sovereignty. These are not abstract policy discussions for us. They affect families, elders, and young people in real and immediate ways. What is debated nationally is lived locally, and what you manage on the ground informs the work I carry forward in the Senate. We also engage directly with the institutions and systems that shape daily lives in our communities. That includes the Northwest Company, the Canadian Food Health Inspection Agency, and the Nutrition North program. We work with charitable organizations and universities on research and partnerships because solutions for the North cannot be developed in isolation. Right now, some of the most serious concerns are basic necessities. Water security remains a major issue, including the presence of trihalomethanes in systems under boil water advisories. At the same time, families in our communities are still finding expired food on store shelves. In a region where food is already expensive and access is limited, this is no minor inconvenience. It is a matter of health, dignity, and fairness. People in the North should never have to question whether their water is safe to drink or whether the food available to them is fit to eat. These are fundamental expectations in our country. Addressing them requires accountability, proper oversight, and sustained attention because safe water and safe food are not privileges. They are basic rights owed to every community. I'm truly honored to be in attendance with you all. One of the most rewarding parts of my role as a senator is having the privilege to travel to and engage with municipal and Indigenous leadership and the members of your communities. I look forward to strengthening our working relationship with each of our 33 communities, not just as a senator, but as someone who understands what it means to belong to a small northern place. For me, this work has always been personal. It is about faces, not files. It is about sitting at kitchen tables, walking along the shoreline, visiting schools, listening to elders, and hearing directly from the people who live the realities we talk and debate about in Ottawa. Every community carries its own rhythm, its own stories, its own strengths. When I visit, I come as someone shaped by the same North, by the same pride in language and culture, by the same resilience that has carried our families through generations. Strengthening our relationship, continuing to show up, to stay, to listen, and to learn. It means building trust over time, not through announcements, but through presence. Because at the end of the day, we are all working towards the same thing: strong, healthy, and sustainable communities where our children know who they are, our elders are honored, and our people feel supported, safe, and seen. Many of you leaders are not full-time politicians. You are parents, hunters, rangers, volunteers, members of search and rescue, whilst working multiple jobs to make ends meet. Municipal leaders and Indigenous leaders may hold different authorities, but you carry the same profound responsibility. People depend on your judgment, your patience, and your courage to work together. Communities are not strengthened by policy alone. They are strengthened when leaders choose unity over division, security over status, service over status, and the well-being of people above all else. Your voices are the voices of your people. In the North, you do not represent only a municipality or an office. You carry culture, history, language, and traditions that existed long before any government building stood and will endure long after we are gone. You carry the knowledge of the land, the memories of your elders, and the hopes of your youth. Every decision you make touches not just infrastructure and services, but identity, belonging, and the future of a people. Leadership here is not measured only by budgets or bylaws. It is measured by how well you protect what cannot be replaced. The language is spoken in your homes, the stories shared on the land, the respect for one another, and the strength of families. Northern communities face hardship, distance, and change, yet they continue with resilience and strength. That resilience exists because leaders stand steady for their people, even when the work is difficult and often unseen. So when you speak, you are not speaking only for a council or administration. You are speaking for generations behind you and generations still to come. Remember, real leadership is simple. Leave your community stronger than you found it, and leave the next generation with more than you were given. Koyanaini, Masicho, Juana, thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Anderson. Really. Okay, so our next agenda item is the open discussion session with our cabinet ministers, also known as the Bear Pit. On behalf of the membership, board, and staff of the NWTAC, we would like to welcome you to our AGM. We thank you all for joining us and look forward to our talk. Honorable Lucy Keptuna, Housing NWT, Status of Women. Anybody coming up?
I don't know. There's chairs for them.
Yep.
Invite them up.
How does that? Kuptana, thank you.
Here comes Jay.
Okay, I have them all. So Honorable Lucy Kaptana for Housing NWT, Status of Women. Honorable Jay McDonald, Environment and Climate Change. Honorable Vince McKay, MACA, well, I guess it's Municipal and Community Affairs, WSCC, Public Utilities Board. Honorable Lisa Semler, Health and Social Services. Honorable Carolyn Wozniak, the Deputy Premier, Finance, Infrastructure, and NTPC. John McDonald, Secretary to Cabinet. ADM Melissa Sear, Industry, Tourism, and Investment. And DM Jamie Fulford, Education, Culture, and Employment. So please note that you will have 3 minutes to ask your questions to the minister. We would like to give everyone the opportunity to ask the ministers a question. So welcome to our AGM. We will turn the floor over to Minister Wozniak for short remarks from each of the members of Cabinet before we start the questions. But I do ask that we keep our responses precise and focused so that everybody gets a chance to ask questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really wonderful to be back here. I've had the joy of being here a few times. I think there's actually a sort of an incentive to have long opening remarks to take time away from the Bear Pit questioning, but I won't do that. Just quickly to acknowledge Premier Simpson and Minister Cleveland already have taken off. They're in Toronto right now for the Prospect Developers Association of Canada annual conference, so pretty major mineral resource conference we go to every year. And I actually flying, so I will also be kicking out slightly early at 4:30. So feel free to direct your finance questions to me early. Happy to answer them. But you've already introduced, I think, most of us here, and both Premier and Minister Cleveland have their deputies representing them on the table. So we're all ready to take questions in any way you have. I won't spend a lot of time on opening remarks, but I do want to just acknowledge I've had the pleasure recently of sitting on panels with Mayor from NWT, Mayor from Yellowknife, and been meeting with a lot of you. There's a lot of eyes on the North right now, a lot of folks talking about the North, talking about the Arctic, but just building on Senator Anderson's comments, and you know your communities. This is so important right now that the voices of the North be loud, be strong, be united, and that we're putting forward who we are so that when major national projects are coming to the North, they're coming to the North in a way that will be successful because it builds in a way that reflects the communities that you are all in. And that reflects the needs of those communities so that we're not just coming in and someone's going to come in and build something that benefits Southern Canada, but that's truly benefiting and building the North in a way that's going to actually support the North for generations to come. So it's such an important time to have strong community voices. So I'm really thrilled to be here, and thank you very much for having us.
Thank you so much. Okay, who's going to kick this off? It's going to be, the mayor from TAC. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Welcome to our AGM. Minister of Infrastructure. I'll try to keep it brief. There's two things that affect us greatly in our community. One is housing, and we're trying to address that by having a land transfer from MTS, Marine Transportation Company, over to the Inuvialuit. And it looked good, and then it got stalled by an environmental assessment, and it's been over a year now. And housing is very short in our community. Big reason for that is one part of our community, because of weather, climate change, storm surge, we have a no development zone. So we can't build houses there. We can't build any infrastructure there. So land is priority for housing. And if you could take a look at that land transfer, the assessment, that would be beneficial to us, beneficial to you, beneficial to the Minister of Housing, and everyone will be happy. It's good to have your own home. The second one is on the NWTAC Highway. Constant closures. Constant. It's not your fault. Weather, wind, snow, blizzards closes the road. That's our only lifeline to south. Residents depend on getting food, depend on getting medicine, depend on bringing medical people over to the hospital for their medical matters. So those closures create a lot of unnecessary domino effect into the community, and suffering becomes like normal. So, you know, if the Minister of Infrastructure could accommodate the maintenance of the road, you know, night shift is one example. Things like that, work better and closer with the contractor. Those are the two major impacts that relate to my community of Tuktoyaktuk. And thank you to hear me out.
Thank you. So I as Minister of Environment, I'll answer maybe your first question around the land for housing, and then I can pass to Minister McKay for the second one. So a couple of things here. So land for housing has certainly been a very, very high priority of our government, as well as for me as minister in my department. We've put in a number of additional resources in, and we have some more resources, hopefully, that will go in the future once our budget is passed. A couple of points on this specific case is a lot of times when industrial land is being transferred, there's a lot of more steps to the process on the environmental side. And I'm not sitting here making an excuse. I don't know the specifics of this exact case, but what I will do is I will commit to go back to the department, get the information that you need. If there is a bump in the road, figure out what that is and see how we can quickly resolve that. So happy to make that commitment to you today. And I will bounce that back to the department right away and ensure that we're in contact quick, realizing the importance of this issue and that we certainly want to, I think the huge opportunity that we have as a territory for housing right now, we need to do all that we can to ensure that we capitalize on that opportunity as much as possible. So thank you.
Thank you for the question from a fellow Vince. I just wanted to say the NWTAC highway has been obviously a struggle. We're aware of that. The weather's been very difficult. The snow impact's been very difficult. And there's been a lot of work being done on working on upgrades to the road and raising up some of the areas that have been causing some problems. But with that, we've also been working well with the contractor to make sure that we're able to work on the road when it's needed most, when it's snowed in, when when it closes off and we're able to get the equipment out there. There is a good working relationship with the contractor to be able to get the equipment out there and get that open as soon as we can. I know it's been very difficult. I've seen some of the pictures and I've been shocked to see the snow drifts and the way the snow has been piled. It doesn't make it easy to maintain a road like that. And I believe last year there was some special equipment that was purchased, like a snow blower, a more industrial sized snow blower to push that snow out of the way. And we'll continue working with the contractor to see if what improvements need to happen, and we'll talk to them at the end of the year to see what else we can do. So thanks for the question, and I know we have a meeting scheduled with Mr. Elias, and he's addressed that as one of his meeting concerns here for next week. So thank you.
Thank you very much. So next question. Oh, Mayor Ferguson from Fort Smith, go ahead.
Hey, thank you, Madam Chair. Welcome and thank you all ministers for coming to answer our questions today. In our communities across the Northwest Territories, we're facing a severe drug crisis that affects every age group: youth, young adults, parents, and elders. We're often sending people out for treatment. They leave their homes, their families, their support systems to try and heal. But when they return, there's often no structured aftercare waiting for them. They are placed back in the same environments that contributed to their addiction without consistent counseling, culturally relevant programming, peer support, or crisis services outside business hours. Recovery does not happen Monday to Friday, 9 till 5. Crisis happens when it's happening. And without proper aftercare, we're setting all these people up for fail across the North. So what concrete funded community-based aftercare strategies is the government implementing, specifically for smaller communities and all communities across the North, to ensure individuals are returning from their treatment facilities and their care and are receiving ongoing, accessible, culturally appropriate support? And if those plans are not yet in place, what is the timeline to implement them? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So within Health and Social Services, there is a trying to service 33 communities, and every single community has a different culture. Even if you're it's like in my region, if you're all Inuvialuit, even from the Inuvialuit communities, they all are a little bit different. And so going home after accessing, you know, after treatment or anything, there's a process that every person has to go through to be referred out to treatment. They first look at in-territory services that are available to them. When their caseworker, decides that with the client that out of territory inpatient treatment is what's needed for this client, their caseworker works with them as an aftercare. We do know that that's where there are gaps in our system. We just recently did a jurisdictional scan just in the Northwest Territories to find where all the gaps are, trying to look at what Indigenous governments are providing. And sometimes that's hard because there's direct funding going directly, so we don't know what types of programs that they're having. What we have done as a government, this government, we've invested into 2 transitional housing and aftercare programs. One is open here in Yellowknife, it's a partnership with housing and with Salvation Army and Health and Social Services. So when people coming back from treatment, they're eligible to stay in there up to right now it's I think 3 to 6 months, but this is why we're in the analysis phase. We are working with Inuvialuit Regional Corporation in Inuvik and hope to be before the end of March opening up a transitional housing and recovery program there. That's just 2. And so we have 33 communities and we know that we need a lot more. However, just within those 2 communities, that it does, we are funding those from within. And so we're having to be able to analyze the 2 programs. However, we do have the mental wellness and recovery program that any Indigenous community can apply to. And we have been actually this year and this fiscal year was the first time I think it was fully subscribed, because we've been telling Indigenous governments as part of our partnership is the aftercare pieces once they go home, and that cultural piece is not for the government to be trying to decide what's the culture in that community and how we're going to have somebody write a policy to say this is what needs to be done, because we know government, we try to do it, and when we try to do culture, we don't do it very well. So we have made this money available. We've done multi-year agreements, and there are some good programs that are coming out of this. And we have Indigenous governments that are accessing the mental health and addictions funding straight from Indigenous Service Canada. There's some great programs. I've traveled to almost all communities now in the territories. And some of the Indigenous groups are championing these programs for their own people, and we're willing to work with all of them. So what I can do is is if people want to reach out to our department, we have a person in charge to say what their plans are. We have funding, and since it's the first year that it's been fully subscribed, maybe we need to put some more money in there, because Indigenous people are starting to do the aftercare stuff in their communities, and we want to be able to provide them the funding to be able to do that. So that's where we are today. Thank you.
Thank you. So next question. Go ahead. I believe it's Fort Simpson.
Yes, thank you, and welcome. I really appreciate you all joining us here today so that we have an opportunity to ask some really important things that are either lacking in our community. That seems to be the theme this time around. I would like to, this is for the Minister of Health, supportive living home. Really was wondering, what are the plans for the Minister of Health in regards to supportive living home? I really believe in the community of Fort Simpson. We do need one, because we have some citizens who are can still live on their own, but need assistance. I would like to offer a solution as well. I think the Stanley Isaiah Seniors Home would be a really good place for that type of facility because there are some people who are, they're living well, but they have health issues or whatever, and that would really benefit from a place like that. It might even be a good place for people to come home for respite care because we have a lot of clients here and in Alberta who are on dialysis and stuff. So it'd be nice to have somewhere where they can still receive some sort of care while they have a little bit of respite with their family. The other one would be a youth safe home, in a lot of our communities. And I know, especially in Fort Simpson, we have a shelter for women and men, but we don't have anything for our youth, for them to have a place to go. So I know there's talk of, getting some potential new buildings that we may hopefully can refurbish into having a place for our youth to go. Because, we talk a lot about the importance of our youth and they're our future. And I really think that we need to put things in place that are safe for them a place for them that is safe to go. Also, three things. I do have 3 points. The other one is clients in recovery, like, those who are doing the work. The first year is all about sobriety, but then recovery kicks in a year later. So I know I have only one story, but I know this has been an issue even for myself that, it seems like the longer you've been sober, the harder it is to get into a treatment center for recovery and follow up and stuff like that. There isn't the maintenance of maintaining your recovery from substances or whatever the case may be. So just wanting to say if there was some way that the work there to become to apply to go to further treatment because you're in need of it, whether it because you may relapse or whatever, that maybe looking at the application process or something. Just wanted to bring that to your attention. And again, thank you for listening. Merci.
Thank you for that. So I'll start with supportive living. One of the things that we have done, we have completed a review on supportive living. However, right now within the health and social services portfolio, it's non-sustainable in all of the programs that we are having to provide in the Northwest Territories to residents of the Northwest Territories, from primary care, which is just seeing your doctor and your nurse in your community, to emergency care. So within that insured service piece and all of the specialties that come with that, then we have, child and family services, and then supportive living, home and community care, long-term care. There's mental health and addictions. There's so many areas in health, and what we've been seeing year after year, especially after COVID, was that the cost of trying to run all these services is beyond my budget. And the finance minister and all of us, we have to be, these are public dollars, and we have to make sure we know where the money is coming. A lot of our money comes from Ottawa to provide these services. There are some services that we choose as a territory because we believe it's important for the residents to do. Supportive living is one of the areas that's very gray, and I think we spend a lot of NWT funding to ensure that those families that have family members, that aren't able to care for them any longer, then they become, when we don't have enough facilities, and like we have a facility in Hay River, we have a couple of facilities for supportive living in Inuvik. However, the majority of the people that we have are out of territory because we do not have the facilities or the homes so what we're doing right now is we're analyzing that entire program to say, How much is it costing? Where is it that we can make improvements? And one of the pieces is we're also analyzing all of the people that we've sent out of the territory that are living outside the territory. So the whether or not bringing them back home, you know, maybe it's going to cost us the same, but if they're in the territory, they're closer to family, they're closer to their culture, they're closer, you know, for if family members want to visit with them, you know, if they can't live in the small community. That's the analysis we're doing right now. And so that and I'll be honest, anything in government takes time because we have only so many staff that are doing all of these things that I just talked about. So, but another piece of supportive living is the actual, like you talked about people coming back after recovery. Minister Kuptana could speak to some of the stuff that she's working on because it's actually infrastructure, it's houses, it's housing. We are the program operators, we'll support those people, but we don't build the housing. And so maybe I'll just turn it over to Minister Kuptana.
Thanks, Minister Semler, and thank you for the question. In Fort Simpson right now, we do provide funding for the shelter and the shelter network there. We're also considering a budget application for safe homes to continue the safe home project in Fort Simpson. One thing that I find as Minister of Housing is it's not the standard public housing, market housing kind of housing continuum that we're facing today. What we're facing now is the need for transitional housing, the need for THARP, which is the transitional housing after addiction recovery. We're also looking at what we need for our youth. We're looking at, and we're releasing right now the territorial housing needs assessment soon, which talks a lot about suppressed households. Sometimes we have 2, 3, 4 generations in households because the need is so great in community for more housing. And what we're doing with Housing NWT is we want to reach out to everyone within the territory, working on housing and working in partnership. I think that's the whole idea of this government with our mandate and our priorities to work together. We're delivering on housing, but we need more housing. And once the territorial housing needs assessment is released, it's going to provide a number, but this number is, it's such a great number. It's like over 2,000 households more in the Northwest Territories. And how do we get there today? It's insurmountable, but if we work together, we can get there. Everybody needs to work together instead of working in isolation. I really am a strong believer of partnership and collaboration and everybody pulling in together because the need is so great. And at the end of the day, and I've said this so many times, we're all the same people. We're all the same people in communities. These are our families and we just need to help them. So it doesn't matter if the money comes from government or the federal government or Indigenous governments or NGOs. We just need to work together to deliver on housing so we could have better health programs as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Mayor Clarkson from Inuvik.
Thank you. And thanks for taking the time today to come and take our questions and listen to our concerns. It's no secret that Arctic security and sovereignty is high on the national level right now. And certainly the communities of Inuvik and Yellowknife, being northern operational support hubs, are having all sorts of discussions with DND and other federal departments. And I do want to, I guess better late than never, that the GNWT has pulled together a committee of GNWT, Yellowknife, Inuvik, and the Indigenous governments in those communities to discuss the Arctic security issues, but would like, I guess, a commitment from whether it's finance minister or the appropriate department that as communities, Inuvik and Yellowknife are going to need more assistance as we move forward because the dollar value that DND is looking at spending is beyond what we're doing now. And so this is consuming, a fair amount of our time. And we realize the GNWT is also strapped for money. So we're going to be going to the feds for some of those asks, but certainly having support in that regard is welcome and we could certainly use it. And associated with that, the town of Inuvik will also make a request for a transfer of all commissioners' lands within the municipal boundaries so that we can make this development less bureaucratic and that we can move forward with development at the pace that we're seeing occurring already. And we think that'll not only help development, but it'll also make the process move a lot quicker and then benefit the community by helping move forward with some of those lands. So we look forward to that support, and we certainly look forward to working with the government of the Northwest Territories as we move forward and work with the federal government. Masicho.
Yeah, I might just start, and I was thinking I'd send it to John to speak a little bit from EIA's perspective, but I mean, you're absolutely right. I think we are all having to catch up a little bit in terms of getting organized as all levels of government. So obviously GNWT has a role, the Indigenous governments, community governments, we need to be organized because the federal government they're making big plans for us, but we need to be the ones that are really, not driving the plans, but certainly driving the way that they get delivered in our communities and understanding what it's going to do to the community. So yeah, I think we're looking even already, not only in a Arctic security sovereignty, but project by project, making sure that there's our own groups set up so that we're exchanging information in a rapid way, identifying problems in advance, and knowing which levels of government need to be moving to solve them. And yeah, I'll turn it over here to John just to kind of give a few words, but then I'll go to lands because one of those is lands, right? Obviously, MAC is going to have a role there. Health and social services has a role. Housing has a role. Like from our view, it's going to be every single one of our departments is touched by those major projects. So we are alive to that. We are getting ourselves sorted so that there's fast, regular feedback as things move forward. But that is going to, in my view, include every one of your governments as well. I mean, whether it's in Nunavut obviously has D&D, but then Mackenzie Valley Highway goes up the entire Mackenzie Valley. Energy projects are touching a lot of individual communities. So everyone's going to need to be involved if this is going to get delivered on the kind of pace that the world seems to be driving it right now. So with that, I'll go to John and then probably over to you.
Thank you, Minister, and thanks, Mayor Clarkson, for the question. Yeah, I think it's fair to say that D&D and the Canadian Armed Forces are probably experiencing a sense of whiplash from going probably 50 years with little cash, and all of a sudden have more money than what they know what to do with, and having to spend it at quite a rapid pace. So we're, as a government, experiencing a significant amount of contact from various parts of D&D and the Canadian Armed Forces. And to be clear, we're very supportive of what they're doing, and of the fact that national defense is a critical importance in this time. We only have to look at the news today to understand we're in a different world right now. So I think as a government, and what the Premier has told me, is that we don't want to be a barrier to or a choke point, I should say, I guess, in any of this development happening. But we do want to advocate for the North, including municipalities, for forward operating locations or NOSHs or whatever the project may be. But as the Minister of Finance just mentioned, there's not a lot of additional resources that we have to bring to bear at the moment. But what we are doing is redeploying some existing resources. We're in the process of that, so that there's a dedicated person who would report to me at the executive, who will be helping to coordinate. And to be clear, one of the things that we're just trying to do is get a grip on this ourselves. We have staff reaching out to the health authority looking for information about medical capacity. We have staff reaching out to Department of Infrastructure about this and that, the NTPC about energy capacity. It's hitting the full surface of the territorial government, and we're looking to make sure we have a clear understanding of that and of what is happening in your communities, so that we can in turn advocate to DND and to the federal system as a whole to help them understand perhaps how better to engage with territorial communities, with Indigenous governments, and with ourselves. So I think that's a major point in time where we're at right now. But as you know, as some of these capital projects start to roll, they're going to be rolling quickly. So one of the things we want to do is make sure that we're capturing as much of that investment in the territory, and that it's being done in a way that meets the needs of residents here to the maximum extent possible. So more to follow on that, Mayor Clarkson. I think we're going to have to be having continual dialogue as more information comes to light about some of these initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Mayor Clarkson. We're certainly able to do large parcel transfers to communities, and right now I think we at last count we had 560 some applications in the system, essentially mostly for housing. As a department, we're working to try and really focus so we can be as efficient as possible. Like I said earlier, we've added additional resources, and we're happy to sit down with the community. Maybe I'll try and emphasize the sooner the better in these things. It's just that there's going to be, with all of these great opportunities that we can see on the horizon, there's going to be a tremendous amount of pressure. So, the sooner we can get that work started and start down that path, I think the better. But yeah, we're very happy to sit down and have that discussion with you and, see what your interests are and what our most efficient path forward is. So, thank you.
Thank you. So next question, Mayor Rubin from Politic.
Yeah, as well, we'd like to thank you all for coming in and sitting with us. Before I begin, I just had a couple of things I wanted to acknowledge. The quick response of our Minister Kuptana with our situation early last week. And again, we just finished off another couple of days of blizzard, so we're back to that state. But I'd address one of the issues in regards to snow loads that we're experiencing. So I won't touch any more up on that one, other than to say that, we will keep working at it and pressing until we can identify the funding required or deal with legislation and that kind of thing to allow us to address our situation. I wanted to look at maybe, I heard some of the resolutions, and I'm happy that at times a lot of the remote communities are in common with some of our challenges. And so I got the window, maybe I'll go in with housing if I can. I brought this up to the minister last year as well about the authority level of the local housing association. Currently, they're at a status of an advisory board. And to hear things like we're number 2 on the condition rating as the poorest housing rating in the territories. And then to hear again of issues related to staff, field staff, maintenance staff, that's become more apparent in the last couple of weeks or so in our community. What I really would like to see is if we're able to revert back to the powers that were they once held with the bylaws and that level of authority rather than an advisory capacity. I think there's a lot of good people that want to be involved in the local housing authority, but are not interested because they hold no power and are unable to do many things. They're told that they can deal with staff, they're told this and that, but when you come down to the nitty-gritty, there is nothing. I'm not sure exactly of the hierarchy or how that operation currently is in operation in terms of daily responses and that level of responsibility in the community. I'm hearing that through the Yellowknife district office, Andy Newvik, that decisions are made and brought down to the local authority. We really need that back. It's become one of, which reminds me back of the education system, where it seemed like education was on their own community, and now housing is at that level where they're more than an arm's length away from our community. These are our people. These are our responsibility in the community, but we're unable to assert any authority and decisions that are happening. I really would like to see that level again. We got good people wanting to go in, and I believe that we can bring back that operation to the satisfactory of our people in the community. But we need that avenue, that way to get back the authority and the level that we had before. With that, not be able to say to our people, well, wait, I'll give you a hand today or tomorrow or next week. It's disheartening. You got to go to housing and then you got to wait for the response from outside of the community. I think them days were gone. We want that autonomy. We want that authority at the local level. We can adjust, we can adapt, we can do things that we know we need to do without having wait months to see any kind of results. So with that, yeah, I leave it at that for now. Again, thank you for the quick response. That I hear they got about a half a dozen of guys out in the field tending to the broken pipes and frozen homes, and we're working our way out again to this second blizzard. And yeah, thank you, Mr. Kaptan.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Rubin. Yes, absolutely. I think that of any community sitting around this table, Paulituck has always shown strong leadership and strong leaders within community. In terms of the associations or the authorities, we have 23 authorities and associations in the Northwest Territories. And perhaps we could have an offline discussion with the president. She's here today, and we could sit down, the three of us, and talk about how we can elevate Paulituck from an advisory board to either an association or an authority, and we could look at the legislation or policy around that. In terms of the need within the community, and like any community in the Northwest Territories, we have public housing in 32 communities, not 33. Enterprise, we don't have public housing in Enterprise, but we have public housing throughout the north. And I've been to 21 communities so far and planning to do a Nahande tour at the end of March, early April. But one thing I've found, and in my time as minister, is not just me doing the tour as minister, because I've always just told this to my president and to communities that ministers come and go, but the staff are in there and they're there for a while. So they need to come with me into these public housing units, look at the conditions. And that's what we did when we were in Paulituck at the end of August, is we went into a number of homes to look at the conditions, because unit condition ratings could say one thing, but the reality is another thing. And this is something else that's been talked about and discussed at the Office of the Auditor General when he released his report, and it talked about unit condition ratings. And that's something that Housing NWT needs to improve on, because we need to know the true nature of the condition of the house in order to properly plan. And housing does have like one of the smallest budgets of this Northwest Territories government, but I'm working on it. Minister of Finance and I have our good discussions, but we continue as a government. It's the #1 priority, and we've shown the leadership by allocating $150 million of our own funds, not federal funds, but territorial government funds. And we are putting in a proposal for Build Canada Homes. We're submitting something there. I don't know what that amount is now. It will have to be negotiated. And I'm sure many Indigenous governments around the table too will be submitting their own proposal. And again, I hope we work in collaboration. But perhaps Mayor Rubin, if we could have that discussion with the president, she's here today, so we could talk about how we elevate that. Thank you, Koinani.
Thank you. So next question. Oh, yep.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Income support or income assistance program, the policy. Maybe just a little background. We have an interagency committee in TUC made up of government workers, community workers, staff, and we share problems, information, and try and find solutions in the interagency gathering. One of the thorns, the the bad side of life comes up with the income assistance program, the policy. It's made for people in need to buy food, clothes, pay rent. Sadly to say, it goes elsewhere. And the problem and the concern really is an Indigenous population. And it would be good if EC&E can relook at that policy and see how it can be done to make sure that families spend it on food, clothing, rent, and have a good life. So that's one. It might take a while. I'm pretty sure it might take a long time to do that. And just a follow up on MTS for the environmental assessment. Can you give me a timeline? Because we waited over a year already. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thanks for the questions, Mayor Teddy. On income assistance program, I can say that the government recently did a full-scale review of the program. And it resulted in changes like increasing income exemptions so that people are, supported in trying to get back into the workforce. Notwithstanding the recent review, we're always looking at ways that we can change and improve the program. There is also the element, you pointed out that the program is aimed at the basic needs of the people who get payments from it. There's also a human rights element too, where we can't, it's difficult for the government to say how people have to spend it. So there's that piece of it that we need to be aware of too, but just in general, we're always looking for ways to improve and to be responsive to, changing circumstances. Thank you.
Maybe just a follow up to that human rights. It's a human right to live a normal life. So there you go. That's a human right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Mayor Teddy, and you're not the only one to raise these kind of questions, so we're very alive to them. I know that my minister is intent on continuing to review the program as well. We've heard similar concerns in the Legislative Assembly. So as I say, it's kind of a continuous improvement situation, and so we're alive to those kind of questions.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mayor. So my deputy minister is here in the room attending today. He's already actioned that to the appropriate assistant deputy minister, and we will get a reach out from us before the end of the coming week with a status update, because I'm not precisely sure where that is, but we will be in contact immediately. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Who's next? Oh.
Good afternoon. My name is Donna. I'm from Sask Harbor, and our community, along with the coastal of Willock and Baltic, rely on the barging season. Every year, the barge seems to be coming later and later. It cuts back on the time that we need for all of our equipment, and most of the groceries and that come in end up frozen, which ends up getting thrown out. It's not only that, we rely on the barge for all of our equipment for our projects for the summer. It's too late to start any projects. Like, we were supposed to get our water treatment plant built last year. The barge came in September, then it's not going to start until this year. It's too late, and it used to be coming in July, and every year it's getting later and later and later, and October is way too late.
thank you for the comment and concern. So definitely one that I've heard already. We've had a lot of issues over the last couple of years with water levels. Last year we had problems with putting out navigational aids. The boats essentially followed the Coast Guard as they were putting out navigational aids. And getting, fuel down the river and stuff. And I've asked the department to look into making sure we're getting those barges into the coastal communities as soon as we can. So as soon as the water is open and there's availability, we also rely on Coast Guard for a path through the ice. If some of the ice is there, we need them to help us navigate through the ice to push through. Obviously, our tugs are not designed to be hitting some big chunks of ice, so we need the Coast Guard for their support too. But just so you're aware, I did talk to the department about that, and I've asked them to aim for earlier delivery times to the coastal communities. And if we can, we may have to do two. Thank you.
Thank you. Further questions? Rosa, go ahead.
Mercy, John, thank you for visiting us here. There's so much that we need to share, but I know it's not the time to share all of the things that we're going through in our communities. In Betchacon, our community and in our region, we're having a lot of issues with full house, especially for social workers. When they apprehend children, there's no place for them to bring children to a home where they can rely on the people that are able to take care of them. So just listening to all of you and the ones that question, and one of them said, the sooner the better. I agree with you that the sooner the better you meet with the community people, because these are the words that we have heard for many years. We'll look into it, we'll commit to it, and all during the time, some have just sat there. After that, all these issues started to rise in the communities. And when the social workers are working for homes for fostering children, it gets harder. The people that look after children have no rest. They don't have respite. It's really hard. And I talked with the social workers so many times for some of them. And even though they want to go out for a while, go out on the land, they can't find anyone. So these children just stay with the same people. And sometimes housing is not it's not suitable for them, especially in this type of weather. So I just hope that something can be done as soon as they can get to it, because the more they wait, it can get worse. And social workers have policies that some families, some parents can't see their children due to their habits or behavior. And when I asked them if they can visit the homes, they said no, because they have strange feelings going to the homes. So at times I keep thinking, in the past, the social workers used to come to visit. They did a lot of things in the communities. Every time there's addiction awareness, they would work with the people in the community. Now we don't see that anymore. And when they talk about policies, I said to them, Kinchung people do have laws in our Kinchung ways, but we don't have policies like that, so it's damaging. It does damage. So when we talk about all this transition home, shelters, we don't have that in our community, even though we are one of the largest community in the north. There's so much that is needed. And that's why a lot of our people, our young parents, our youth are suffering as they go along day by day. There's concerns relating to housing. We know that for many years, but still it doesn't improve. Last year, a year ago, our leaders, they went to Ottawa. They asked for fundings from the federal government, and they received the amount that they had requested for. It was to repair houses. It was to repair houses for elders, the most needy house that needs to be repaired, for orphans and for widows. So when the fundings came, it went to the wrong hands, and they start repairing and fixing houses that didn't need that type of repair. So how can we work with our leaders, especially when they're supposed to be our role model to be honest, especially when they get the fundings? So a lot of our people are angry. They're not happy. Even me, because I see some houses that are really damaged and there's still children in there. Last week, 2 of those houses got frozen pipes, no power. So when we're elected or when we're an advocate for many years, they come to us and they phone me. And I tried to help, but I couldn't. So we're all human beings, especially children and orphans. And our leaders seem to neglect them because they have other things to do, but there's got to be someone that can really look after the children that are really in need, because we're seeing that. And I tell them we're not living in the third world country. Why are they are being treated like this? And in our community, we have concerns with our sewer area, where the sewer are put, and then the garbage. So like someone said, the garbage are spilled and it goes through the ground. That's what it's doing. It's happening, going to the lake. So at times we talk about all these things for years. Our environment needs to be clean. So when environmentalists came a couple of years ago to our meeting in Bichakon, I brought that up because we've seen a lot of garbage from the 1960s, all piled up by the shoreline on an island. So it's just like when I was leaving, I said I was going to come here, and the person told me, are they going to talk about property tax? And I laughed. And I said, maybe, but, and then she said, you know, you can bring all this up, but they'll listen, but it's just going to stay the way it is. So I just want to bring up that I told her I would do that. Property tax is another one. Some families haven't been paid their property tax for years. For years that they were denied for home repair. Right now, they're grandparents. And all the years that they didn't pay, they're not the only one. There's many of them in Bichacon, even in maybe in the smaller communities too, but they don't talk about it as much because they say they don't pay property tax in their communities. But all these are costly. So at this time, people are struggling because we see it in the community. And I just hope, as you say, we're working on it, we'll do it, we'll get fundings. The sooner the better. Is going to be wonderful to see you people meeting with our people. Mercy.
Thank you.
Excuse me, can I add to that comment or to that? Just in regards to, I guess it would be for, in regards to bringing awareness and importance to amending the foster care application. I'm deputy mayor of Fort Liard and from a smaller community. And I would like to see, I think part of the problem there is the need for amending the foster family application. It's pretty lengthy. It's pretty big requirements, like there's to the application process. And I was interested in being a foster family, but the amount of paperwork that comes along with the application, you know, like you need to get a medical done from the nursing station. You need to get a criminal record check. You need to have a home inspection. And yeah, that's great. I agree with that. But to have a 25-page application process on the foster family is a bit much. You don't need to know like some of the questions in there get a little bit personal, and there's no need to know what's my religion or it's pretty detailed, and I think that is part of the problem for recruiting foster families in in the smaller communities. Right now, we don't have any foster families in our community. Our children get sent to Fort Providence. Fort Providence is 5 hours away from Fort Liard. There's no need for that, but yeah, I think that I'd like to see amendments in the foster family application. Let's see.
So I'll respond and about the Child and Family Services. So right now, within Child and Family Services, we do, you know, majority of the children in care are placed. I believe it's 75% are kids that are. I think we average about 1,000 kids that are accessing and Child and Family Services, but I believe it's 75% of those kids are receiving services in their own home from Child and Family Services, because we've truly changed to try and flip the program. I know that myself and other members in the last government were very adamant that the program was not focused on prevention, and that is part of the legislation, is keeping families together. And for so many years, you know, we've focused on the apprehension piece and the protection piece. And so we have implemented many different changes within Child and Family Services. However, we've also, and this I take back from a previous MLA from my community, knowing that, you know, his father was a true advocate about grandparents, and he wanted to take care of his grandchildren. But again, this foster cam family application and all of the things that, but what they have changed is that there is a voluntary or family agreement that the family member can agree to have the parent, and they will get the same support as a foster family. So this is something that we've been trying to tell more people in this, especially in our smaller communities where we don't have foster homes, is our priority is keeping the children with their immediate family. But if there's, you know, the parents are struggling with addictions and things like that, then it's the next best thing is a family member. And so if there's a family member that wants to step up, then we work with that parent to be able to give the authority for them to stay with a family member, and that family member is supported. However, there are some screenings that we have to do as, you know, when putting children in place, but under those agreements, they're more of a common agreement. So, and then the next step would be into another Indigenous family with the agreement with the parents of the child, or a parent, or legal guardian of the child. And so these are steps that we do before going into placing into a foster family. So if what I can do is bring that information, my deputy minister is here, and we will follow up on the forms. We need to do certain things under the law to make sure when we're placing children into homes that they're being placed into homes that are safe. However, we can look at doing more of an education on the family pieces, because we do support families that when children can't be in their own home, if we're supporting the parent to go and get help, or, you know, or if they're homeless, because we try to support the family to stay together prior to, you know, having to place the child somewhere, but we would rather place the child with a family member. And so, like I said, I'll take that back and see what we can do about the foster family application. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe Danny from Delaney had a question.
Excuse me. I had a cold, so I just, if I run short of breath, hang tight. I'm trying to breathe. Yeah, give me mouth to mouth. Thank you, ministers, for being here and listening to us. You've heard me on several occasions over the last three and a half years talk about, you know, the certain situations in all our communities and stuff like that, in particular Delaney. But you know, in 60 years, the NWT Association has been coming to meetings, and it's the first time I've ever been to one. Shows you that I've never ran for office in my life till recently. So I'm actually enjoying it, but everything comes to an end when you're enjoying stuff. So I've always advocated, you know, that we live in the North, and I've been in community development since I was 18 years old, and probably every aspect of community development. I've watched the North change. I've seen the North have all the opportunities that were placed in front of us. And you could start with Norman Wells, the pipeline. You could even go back further with Port Radium, the uranium mine. You know, in the last 15 years, we've been trying to promote the oil and gas development in the North with the Arctic oil and gas pipeline. We talked about all the mines and diamond mines, and you know, it's quite disheartening to actually still sit here today and talk about our social situation in the North. And I've been advocating since I've been on council, but also as an employee for leaders in the past, that we need to figure out a way to move from social dependency to independence. We were once strong Indigenous people in the North. We survived for thousands of years. And I keep asking myself, why did we become so weak? Why did we become so dependent? And usually that happens because we rely on a system. And the system, unfortunately, is the government of Northwest Territories. We've, you know, in the 70s, in the 80s, you could see that we were still strong, independent people by just looking at the territorial government budget. There was very little money there for social housing, very little money there for justice and jails and income support and all these other social initiatives. But we've managed to move into a place now where almost 60–70% of our territorial government budget is social welfare. And I keep advocating that we got to change how we do business. We live in silos when you live in the government, and one arm doesn't talk to the other arm about how do we improve the lives of our community members. We don't have that conversation, and we need to start having that conversation. I used the idea that maybe we could give people hope. We could give them a dream to work towards by putting them into their own home. I've had several conversations with the government about that. I said, well, why don't we work really hard on figuring out a way to get people into their own home? Yes, they're social dependent today. It's because the system put them there. We blame it on residential school. We blame it on all these other things, but the reality is that they are there. Now, how do we get them out from under that envelope? We need to start changing how we make these programs so that people actually can qualify and they can start working towards getting themselves back into a position of independence, working very strong, maintaining a home, giving their children stability, creating a stronger education system so that we actually have a future. I've advocated that with this government as a leader of my community for 3.5 years. And I haven't seen anything change. I've looked at economic opportunities because the reality is that economic opportunities, in my mind, once you get them into the home, you have to create the job, you have to create the opportunity so they could actually go to treatment and have something to do after the fact. But no, we're not creating those opportunities. We need to figure out a way to create those opportunities. We've had several that come to us in the North, and guess what? They passed us by. Norman Wells oil field been operating for over 100 years in our backyard, and they're saying goodbye now. Diamond mines are saying that now too. What's going to happen when they leave? Mr. Clark spoke about sovereignty, and we have an opportunity here to talk to the Canadian government about maybe opening up the North, but we got to do it a northern way, a way that works towards building strength in our communities, because the resources is not in the ground, it's us. I heard somebody say human being. It's us. We are the resource. We just got to start figuring out how to have a conversation about how we're going to keep that in the North. If you want to expand Yellowknife because they're going to spend $5 billion here on sovereignty, well, what opportunities are available, not only for Yellowknife, but for other communities to invest in Yellowknife? We could come, we could support Yellowknife, but we have to have that conversation. And we can do the same thing in the Nunavut area and in Nunavik. You want the Mackenzie Highway? We could support that also. But a conversation needs to start happening. When are you going to bring us to the table to have this conversation? Not only with ourselves and amongst ourselves, yourselves, but also with the Canadian military. What do we have to offer? If we don't have it now, can you give us the resources to build a capacity to actually start working towards what they want? Because the reality is, if we don't do this and we don't have this conversation now, this opportunity is going to pass us again, and we'll be still sitting here socially dependent. We really, in the government of Northwest Territories, got to start figuring out a way to change how you do business. It's been like this all my life. Nothing's changed. Lucy, I met with every minister that housing had since 1982. I think Tom Butters was the first housing minister I met with. I have not changed one policy. Nothing's changed. How is that possible when you can keep going into this door and saying, you know, we're elected leaders, we want to change. We want to help our people become independent, strong again. That's a long uphill journey. But the reality is we got to start it somewhere. We have this opportunity. They want the minerals in the ground, the resources that are here. They want to pass us with sovereignty, the military. Okay, let's do it, but let's do it our way. We have gas in the ground. I've been talking to the government about this gas in the ground that I've been pursuing for 3.5 years. Not one phone call about it. The oil and gas company is willing to give it to us. Trillions and trillions of cubic feet of significant discovery oil and gas in the ground. Give it to us for $1. You know, I thought, well, we got no way of getting it out. But you know what? Can we generate power in the north with that gas? I had a meeting with CSIS and DND and the military 3 weeks ago in Ottawa, and I said, look, what if the north got together and we got organized on getting this gas, created the power, bought NWT's fiber optic line that I've been asking for again, right? And no response from NWT on the fiber optic line other than the fact, oh, we got space in it. That doesn't tell me anything. But the reality is that, you know, when I spoke with DND, there was almost 30 of them in the room just meeting with Dylan, updating us on military stuff. And I said, you know what? If I could build the national defense a data center, you can't do it on the coast because all the military going by there, do it inland. Let's do it in a Chateau because we could use it to replace Norman Wells. And all of a sudden, 7 of them put their pen to paper. And I pretty good at reading the room and saying, look, I got them. I know what they need. Now, can we work together to make sure this happens? Can we have that conversation with them? And I took a little funny one. I said, you guys used to work on a snowmobile a few years ago. I don't know, they're trying to make a stealth snowmobile that could operate in an Arctic. I said, it's probably somewhere in your garage. I said, you could take that out of the garage, bring it to the north. Let's manufacture a snowmobile for you in the north. Let's get all the hunters and experts on trying to figure out a way to keep that snowmobile operating without ever breaking down. And I guess what? We could do that here in the north, I said. And it's little things like that we need to have a conversation about. But Carney's making all the statements that I never hear the north talk to us yet and say, what can we do? I just heard today, first time, we got a committee, NWT, Yellowknife, and Inuvik. But the rest of us, what, we don't have nothing to offer. So they said this is a bear den, so I'm just gonna leave you like that. But literally, you know, want to try to inspire people that we gotta start changing how we do business. Merci.
John? Thank you, Equata Day, for those comments, and absolutely, this is the Bear Den, so we should open up this discussion, and John McDonald here, our Secretary to Cabinet, will speak more about some of the work that GWT is doing with the Canadian military and the discussions with NWT and Yellowknife, but I have these discussions at the cabinet table, especially around housing. Because like you said, how can we go from dependent to independent, to strong people again? And how can communities work together and people have these discussions within community with proper housing and housing supports, just like proper health supports. We need to have infrastructure throughout the Northwest Territories. And the territory is so vast, right? You go from like Victoria Island and Banks Island right down to Fort Smith. So this government has these discussions all the time, but one thing we are doing differently is we want to work with others. We want to have these discussions. We want to reach out to Indigenous governments to see how can we do this locally or how can we do this regionally so we can expedite resources, especially around housing in my portfolio, how we can expedite housing builds or housing construction. And the need is so great, and we want people to feel that independence again so they could participate in the economy, because that's so critical. We need everybody going to school, being part of their community, volunteering, but they can't do any of that if they don't have proper housing. So I continue my arguments at the cabinet table, and we have these really in-depth discussions, but again, a house is so important because it's a home and a home in your community, and you're raising your children and grandchildren in. So I just wanted to add that before John speaks here. So thank you, Equata Day.
Yeah, thank you, Equata Day. It is a bear pit, so we should expect a swipe every now and again. I will say, I think some of your comments about opportunity, I think are well said. One of the things that we've been talking about as a government is how do we meet the moment, and how do we, call others to meet the moment as well. I think, we talked already about the geopolitics that are going on right now in the world. It's uncertain times, but there is a lot of opportunity for the North. Whether it is those D&D investments, and I don't believe they're all going to be just in Nuvik or Yellowknife. I think projects like runways and things of that nature are being considered. So when we talked earlier, or when Mayor Clarkson mentioned a meeting, it is just an exploratory meeting to understand what different groups are hearing. So that's not an exclusive group. I just want to point that out. We're having those conversations with the Council of Leaders Secretariat, with your officials and other locations as well. So that's something that we want to try to understand is what are people hearing from DND or the CAF? What are their ideas, and how can we all collaborate and work together? So that's something that's of keen interest to us. And we're going to try to do our best going forward to, if nothing else, act as a bit of a convener and an advocate for the North. And that's something that the Premier has expressed as he's very passionate about. But I think to your broader point, this is a moment where, whether it's D&D investments or major projects or housing, as Minister Kaptena has said, there's opportunity like probably hasn't been on the doorstep for a generation. And I think every organization, whether it's the territorial government, municipal governments, Indigenous governments, individuals, businesses, we all have to be ready to mobilize. And that's job opportunities, training opportunities. There's more coming here, I think, than what we're even ready for. So we all have to kind of pull up our bootstraps and start to work together in innovative ways that we haven't had to do before in the past. So I just wanted to respond to Equata Day because I think you're bang on with that assessment. And I just wanted to let you know that there's others thinking about that as well. So thank you very much, Masi.
Okay, so that takes us to almost 5. I'm going to pass the mic over to Minister McDonald and for some closing remarks.
Thank you, Candace. So a couple things. I'd like to just comment briefly to what Equata Day said. I think one thing that we really recognize, and I won't speak for my cabinet colleagues, but I think they have similar thoughts, that the one great thing about the North is that we're small in population, and we all have opportunities to create relationships. And one thing since I've been in cabinet is I try and create relationships. I try and reach out to people. And, so we can have those conversations. We don't always get the opportunity to connect. But I'll speak for myself here in that my door is always open. All of the leaders are welcome to reach out to me at any time if you have a question or a concern or an idea or something you'd like to work on. I know Aquata Day reaches out quite regularly and we chat, and so I think that that's how we grasp the opportunity that's in front of us right now. The many opportunities is by having those relationships, being able to communicate at the leadership level. I know our officials do a great job of working together. And there's a lot of work that goes on in the background that even the leaders aren't necessarily always aware of. But I think those leader to leader conversations will really be what pulls us together and gives us an opportunity to succeed going forward. So I'll leave that there, but I wanted to recognize we have some folks in the room with us here today as well that we failed to recognize earlier. So I'd like to recognize our colleague, MLA Kate Reed from the Great Slave Riding, who's been here and is in the back there. So welcome, Kate. And I'd also, we have some tremendous staff in our organization, not only in our offices. We have a number of our ministerial special advisors here today and our press secretaries and others here in the room helping us out. So, these folks work tremendously hard and really give a lot. So I wanted to recognize them. We also have a number of assistant deputy ministers and deputy ministers and a president in the room. So we have folks from Department of Infrastructure, Industry, Tourism, Investment, Environment, Climate Change, Housing, NWT, Municipal and Community Affairs, and Health and Social Services. So, great that these folks gave up their Saturday afternoon to come here and hear your concerns and meet with you. And we're really pleased to have this opportunity. We love coming to the Bear Pit. So thank you very much.
Liar. Just kidding. Okay. So with that, that's just about the end. I have a few more words, but I really do appreciate these guys coming and facing the Bear Pit. So they do a great job. Thank you for taking the time, your afternoon, and we do appreciate it. So as we continue our open discussions, let's embrace the opportunity to shape the future of our communities and the entire territory for the next 60 years. Together as leaders of our regions and governments, we have the power to make our home a place of prosperity, innovation, and health where we can all thrive. Raising our children and grandchildren in a vibrant, forward-looking environment. A heartfelt thank you goes out to our incredible sponsors. Without your support, our AGM would not be the success it is today. To the board and staff of the NWTAC, we appreciate your time, commitment, and tireless work to ensure this event runs so smoothly. A big thank you as well to the Chateau Nova, taking such excellent care of us over these past 4 days, especially the kitchen staff. Your catering has been absolutely amazing. So, and now with that, the official portion of our AGM comes to a close. But don't go too far. Join us for the closing banquet, where we'll present the prestigious Community Builder Awards, generously sponsored by Aon. We also have entertainment tonight. Mr. Dave Hempstead. Dave is one of Canada's most sought after comedy talents. So he has been performing his insightful stand-up for 2 decades to the delight of audiences across Canada, from comedy clubs and festivals to private, corporate, and charity events. Dinner kicks off at 6:30 p.m. and we are looking forward to a fantastic evening ahead. Thanks so much, everybody. It has really been a joy.